Hello! Unlike the past couple days, there is no solid theme today. If you have any recommendations for things to look at, you're welcome to send them. Don't know if I'll get to them. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things to look at. Something like that. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed. It fucking sucks. I'm having to like totally change what I do for fun or whatever, right? Or like what I do when I relax or whatever. Like I just, like exercise, or if there's stuff to work on in the garden, I'll go do that. Can't really do anything I used to enjoy anymore. Probably helps with streaming because it means I don't relax and I don't de-stress, so I'm angrier all the time, which means I respond to things more strongly. I have more exciting commentary. So in the end, it's all synergistic. I will peep your game though. I will peep your game. Hex, I already know what you've linked. You think I didn't already find this and load it up and have it ready for the stream? Who the fuck do you think I am, Hex? That's got to be what it is, right? Let me click. Yeah. Don't worry. I precisely looked for that. I mean, most of the stuff I have today is going to be things like we have a card posting video, an interesting one, where I presume he's elaborating on a comment on the kind of thing he said in a comment on one of my videos. I doubt I'll have much problem with what he says, but I imagine I'll have a lot to add and suggest in addition to whatever he says. We've got we're going to look at that Quantic Foundry blog post about gamers being less interested in strategic thinking. We're going to check out the Short Guys subreddit. And who knows, we might look at some lady complaining about miniatures not having enough women. I have a video of a fox. We have a furry with an hour-long video about his strategy to stop pedophiles. A controversial strategy to stop pedophiles. I've got all sorts of stuff ready. Do you guys know Warren Smith? He has a couple videos. Apparently he got fired from his position teaching at a school. It might be connected to something he said about J.K. Rowling to a student. We have a video about dark nudge or dark nudging, particularly in fast food, but I presume in all advertising. And then to pair that with, there is an article about falsified research into nudging. So we've got a bunch of little bit, it's sloppy Sunday because I have just a ton of bits and pieces. No solid theme today. Like yesterday's theme was In Praise of Shadows. We did that for most of the stream. Before that, day before that, we did Rakita. Today we just do whatever. If you have shit that I might find interesting, as always, you can just throw it at me or put it in the Discord. And if I think it's cool, I'll skip some of the stuff I was gonna do and do that instead. Maybe we can look at Cobra. Made the horrible mistake of looking at Cobb's latest cooking adventure while I was eating. Don't recommend it. You need more In Praise of Shadows? That's the first thing we're doing today. Yeah. There's just a little crumb. I mean, it would be nice, because the In Praise of Shadows video, a large chunk of it, and the impetus, the first domino leading to his video was people's response to his video about The Hills Have Eyes. There's kind of a problem if I want to look more into that. I've never seen The Hills Have Eyes. I've never seen The Hills Have Eyes. And I haven't seen his Hills Have Eyes video. I'm thinking it might be interesting to look at his Hills Have Eyes video to see if he's being honest in his characterization of his own work. But I also feel like I would have to see The Hills Have Eyes first as well to judge what he's saying. Right? Filmically illiterate. I find it extremely difficult to watch films. I find it very hard. I find it hard to watch shows. Yeah. Like, I watch them with my girlfriend, but it's like, It's like just chilling with my girlfriend while a show or movie is on. I don't think I could do it on my own right now because of all the other things I could be doing instead. I would vastly prefer to be reading than watching a film because it's like being forced to do the speed limit. It's being forced to do the speed limit. And if a film has a pace I don't like, I get annoyed. And if it has a pace I don't like, and it's some shit-ass fucking story message film, and it's not beautiful, and there's nothing to, like, absorb visually, I just get angry, because it's like, this shouldn't exist. This film shouldn't exist. You should have just written, like, a 2-page short story. You're padding, like I'm doing right now. At the start of my streams, I fill up time to let people show up. Many films are extremely infuriating. 5 minutes of content stretched to God knows how long, hour and a half, 2 hours. Ridiculous. You fried your brain with Thai food. Maybe. Like, that said, I'm not saying everything has to be like, I'm not saying I need TikTok editing. I'm saying if it doesn't have to be, if it's not moving at a fast pace, it has to be rich. I enjoyed the new Dune movies. Some people complained about them being slow. It didn't seem slow to me at all. It seemed like it was very, very tasteful in the way it cut around quickly. And if they didn't have something beautiful to show you or something meaningful, it seemed like they just cut stuff. It seemed like they were... My assumption is they were quite bold when they sliced. But I do love a film like Natural Born Killers. I do love a film like... I'm trying to think. What's coming to mind? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I do love that stuff. Overwhelmingly, though, for anything I do, I prefer to have my engagement be more active. Right? Beyond just thinking about it in the moment. And I count reading as that. I count reading as like doing something versus watching something. I don't know. Like reading something can feel like solving a puzzle. And I'm not locked into your pace. I don't know how to explain my problem with films. But also, maybe I do fucking have ADHD or something, because I often find it hard to stay sitting still, even. Sometimes. Other times, I feel like I just want to sit still in silence all day. I don't know what's up. Maybe some days I just have energy, and other days I'm tired. Who knows? It could be that I'm a human being. Ooh. Highlighted messages? Sometimes. I think money does that. That would explain why you can't hold a block string. Blocking is for cowards. Simply play Yoshimitsu. Simply play the character with the fastest move in the game. Okay? Or play the character who has a move that's technically difficult to pull off perfectly, but has massive plus frame. Not massive, but, has plus frames. And is fast. Just abuse. Dick jab all day. Dick jab. Fastest move. Do it. Flash. Whew. Did Tim watch Jim, or was it too late for him? It's too late for me. I like Jim. I like what I've seen of Jim. I don't watch stuff like that. I just don't. Like, I'd rather just look at the source material myself. It's just how I am. It's not like, Jim fucking sucks, I don't want to watch him. I literally don't want to watch anyone doing that. 99% of the time, I don't want to watch that kind of thing. Like, I never watched anyone who did videos, like my kind of videos anyway. Tim, you've been called out. Dog whistles 41%? How the fuck is this a me call out? Let me scam the transcript. Let's go. His Rakita stream was way better than mine. Probably. I still don't even know fully who Rakita is. Are you implying that I'm trans? You didn't watch Kraut and Tree? Kraut and Tree. I've seen one Kraut and Tea video all the way through. And I was very unimpressed. Like, I had a real big problem with it. It was the one where he talked about I believe he talked about doxing being illegal. It must have been what his point was, because he brought up absurd examples to say that doxing is illegal in the US. He brought up an example of a case wherein, I don't remember which state it was. Someone was putting out political pamphlets. Some of the pamphlets had their name on them, some of them didn't. A person dobbed them in for doing this. Someone reported them, identified and reported them. And the reason they reported them was because whichever state it was, I don't remember which state it was, they had some sort of law that, political ads, political flyers and whatnot could not be posted anonymously. It was correctly found that that law was unconstitutional. Kraut used that case to say that identifying someone who has posted a flyer and not put their name on it is illegal. Like, he said something fucking crazy. His takeaway from it was insane and nothing to do with what was said. But of course, overwhelmingly in the US, doxing is protected by the First Amendment. I'm not really sure about any anti-doxing law that's effectively passed, or any example of what should be called doxing being found to be illegal. Normally, it's something else connected to that information rather than posting the information itself, right? Yes, dog with sunglasses. If Rishi Sunak wins, everyone who turns 18 in the UK is going to be feeding grandmas for a year. Yeah. Not even mandatory. Indeed. Well, it's a year. What is it? A year in the military, or a year of every weekend you do public service? And Rishi Sunak's examples of public service would be delivering food to the elderly. What else did he give? What else did he? I don't really have much hope for this country, regardless of who's in power, to be honest. But also, I can't vote anyway. I mean, perhaps I could try and influence people to vote. That's always a good one. If you can't vote yourself, influence others to vote. For people who are not familiar with me, if there are newbies here, I am not a felon or something like that. I am simply not British, so I cannot vote. Spying on your fellow citizens is... Sorry, wait, what? Did he say cybersecurity? You're fucking joking. It wasn't every weekend? Sorry, it was one weekend a month? What the fuck? I mean, the choice for anyone who doesn't want that is obvious. If it was every weekend for a year, obviously pick that. If it's one weekend a month? is your option to get out of a year mandatory military service? What the fuck even is that? It's No, look. Okay. He's suiciding. He's absolutely suiciding. This is like a perfectly crafted policy to promise to upset literally everyone. Does anyone like it? Because if you're pro mandatory military service, you don't like it because people can just go, I want to feed grandma once a month. If you're anti it, you don't like it because it's, trying to push that on people. Literally no one will be happy with it. What the fuck? Exactly. Boomers would have been pro-mandatory service, but now they can opt out. Yeah. Man. Honestly, as well, I don't trust 18-year-olds to be doing stuff like looking after like delivering food to the elderly. Have you seen our youth? Have you fucking seen the youth in the UK? Nightmare. 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 I just talked about Rakita a bit on Friday. I did a quick best lead up I could to the Montegraph case, and we looked at the arrest a bit. I need to look deeper into some other aspects. I want to look at this Drexel fellow, actually. Because I missed everything. No, I will continue to dead name Rakita. Okay? It's a dead name in that it was never alive. Wonder if there's a punishment if they miss it or call in sick. The Tories have already promised that no one will go to jail if they totally skip it. So, yeah. Because of course, let's start with this actually. So, I don't remember if I mentioned this on stream because we were doing other things. We had that In Defense of Shadows thing, or In Praise of Shadows thing. We also had the Rakita thing, and that sucked up time. So we have Rishi Sunak promising a fake, like fake mandatory service. But recently we also had news about the police. Here's a fun one. Let me get this up, because I didn't plan this. Here's one from the 21st. Let's look at this real quick as part of Sloppy Sunday. Because I think the UK might get even sloppier. In some ways, what you're about to see is positive. Because we've, for years now, we've had the issue where police will prioritize naughty words on social media over, let's say, stalkers. Over all sorts of spooky shit happening. Over violent crime. Unfortunately, the UK's prisons are pretty full. There's no space. The UK will not say fuck off, we're full regarding people coming into the country, but the prisons are saying fuck off, we're full. Headline from the Sunday Times. Arrest fewer people to save prison space, police chiefs told. An internal document by the National Police Chiefs Council recommends pausing, quote, non-priority arrests until there is capacity in overcrowded jails. Police are being told to make fewer arrests because of the lack of space in prison, the Times can reveal. Chief constables are being advised to consider pausing non-priority arrests and also to suspend operations that may trigger large numbers of arrests. Just ignore, for instance, I don't know, organized crime. Just please. Just don't do anything. Police, stop doing anything that might uncover mass wrongdoing. Stop it. Stop it. The memo to police chiefs seen by the Times stated, consideration is to be given to pausing non-priority arrests and any planned operations where large numbers of arrests may take place to ease the pressure within the criminal justice system. Notwithstanding public protection remains a priority and a considered threat, harm and risk assessment is to be completed when considering any pause in police operations. Yes. The document did not disclose the kind of offences or operations that should be paused, but sources clarified that a more accurate term will be non-urgent arrests. Yes, that sounds better. That sounds better. They gave the example of a person named as a suspect in a crime where officers were yet to carry out investigative actions, such as reviewing CCTV or carrying out house-to-house forensics for a burglary. They also said that large-scale protests and public events that required a police presence remained a priority and must not be ignored by forces. We need to stop protests, but, I don't know. Organized crime, doing mass burglaries, just don't uncover that if that's happening. Just make sure you don't. Just don't cover that, okay? If you don't know about it, you don't have to arrest them. Protest, political speech, crush it. Oh my. Fun, right? Not really. Kind of bad. I will stay safe in my gamer loft. I will stay safe in my gamer loft. Something that is genuinely fun is, for those of you who were here yesterday, I'm presuming y'all remember In Praise of Shadows. I've got to tell you, I'm not entirely sure what his intended outcome for that video was. But what we watched was an insane amount of cope and crying and tantruming, pointing fingers, blaming YouTube comments for ruining his ability to get an easy meal ticket by pumping out trash, long-winded ass videos. Right? He wanted instead to pass on his curse to Wendigoon. Said all sorts of wild things about him. Said all sorts of wild things about people surrounding Wendigoon. Said all sorts of wild things about horror. Said, just in general, all sorts of wild things. He hates it when pedophiles get killed as well. That was an interesting takeaway. Or at least he hates, let's be charitable. He hates it when people are happy that pedophiles are killed. Not a priority for me, really. not a huge concern to me personally. Well, ladies and gents, In Praise of Shadows has seen the error of his ways. He's posted an apology. He's sorry. He's going to clarify some things on Twitter. He has a long thread. I was going to count the tweets, but there are more than I want to rapidly count. Okay. I had to do a few scrolls. Okay. In Praise of Shadows says on Twitter, a thread about the last few days. Many people have said very fair criticism of me and my work. That I did not appropriately portray people. What weird grammar. Full stop. That I did not appropriately portray people. And I would like to address that. Colon. Right. Oops, people didn't like that. I totally miscalculated, so now I'm very, very sorry. No! That is not what happens here. That is not what happens here. And yeah, I do believe it was one day. To Brandon. I do need to apologize to you for two things. The first, you are right. It was wrong for me to use that picture. I think he means the hug? Is that the hug? Something like that. Scrolls equals lines of cocaine. I'll be honest. Their granddad in hospital, that was Brandon. Okay. I remember. The granddad in hospital picture. This guy, yeah. Was that Brandon Buckingham? Yes, it was. Yes! He popped up Brandon Buckingham with his granddad in hospital to say that Brandon is accused of rape threats. In brackets, by Sneeko, who he was having a fight with. Yeah, silly. Absurd. There are other images I could have used to demonstrate that. But also, In Praise of Shadows knew. He absolutely knew that was weird. He couldn't not have. You can't go, I'm a sensitive cultural critic. I know it's right or wrong. I am in charge of deciding who needs to be cut out of society because I'm so morally correct. I'm such an empath. I'm so perceptive of media. I understand all. I'm practically omniscient. Oh yeah, I guess, throw in absurd accusations that someone threatens rape up on screen with a picture of them with their dying grandfather. In hindsight, I can kind of get why that's messed up. He uploaded a new version? Coward. For that, for what it's worth, I genuinely am sorry. I'm sure he is. The second is I did not do my diligence when looking into allegations against you. To be honest, I saw pictures of you with Turkey Tom, with Donut Operator, with Wendigoon, with Brandon Herrera, and often with a gun in your hand. I wrote you off. You have to understand. It's really your fault. I'm just so media literate that from seeing pictures of you, I know everything. My skills as a critic are so powerful, again, that he can reach into photos of real people, just recordings of their life events, and know the truth from it. Just extract it from an image. It's a superpower. It's like, does that happen in Life is Strange? What's the Life is Strange like game where the person can suck out meaning from photographs? Suck people's souls out. True Colors. That happened in True Colors, did it? Seems about right. I did not feel you were worth my time, and that was a result of the company you keep. No. You spent time finding shit to fling at him. You thought it was worth your time, and you got caught. Ultimately, that is a failing on me, though, in how I presented that. Not a failing on him in terms of, picking up, believing things just because of your bias. Believing things about someone, repeating them, purely based on bias, stating its truth. How he presented it is the issue. Okay. You using homophobic language to me, though, in calling me a low testosterone freak, does not change my opinions about you. I don't think calling someone low T is homophobic. No. There's a kind of gay that is stereotypically like a low T individual. But to call someone a low testosterone freak is not inherently homophobic. Would have to be paired with something else. Right? Because there are gays who certainly a homophobe could have problems with, but wouldn't call low T. Bears. I don't think anyone would call a bear low T. He's attacking your masculinity, not your sexuality. if he'd been like, you low testosterone, limp wristed fairy, maybe you can say homophobic. If he really did just say that, I don't think you can go homophobic on that one. Let me go to Brandon Buckingham's Twitter. I'm going to imagine he said that on Twitter. Let's see what he said, if he said anything else. La la la. I'm not seeing anything homophobic here. Personally, let me pull this up for you. Bingus. Bongus. Brandon said, in a desperate attempt to make Wendigoon look bad for being friends with me, this overweight loser described me as, quote, a gun YouTuber who's been accused of threatening rape. True. All true. This occurred. The next thing he says is, hey, praise Shadows. Going through every one of Wendigoon's friends and insulting them to try and paint him in a bad light makes you seem like a desperate and pathetic freak. Fact. Undeniable. Also not homophobic. You seem like you have low testosterone. It could be making you moody. Try exercising and shooting guns. This has nothing to do with his sexuality. This Shadows guy shits on people for being into guns and is not in amazing shape. Brandon is attacking him for being a chuboid and for being anti-gun, saying, you're a low-T, inactive gun hater. Maybe if you were more like the people you criticized, you'd be high-T and you wouldn't be a moody bitch. Absolutely nothing to do with his sexuality. Whatsoever. Nonsense. Fucking nonsense to call this homophobic. Nope. Also, using a photo of my grandpa after his brain injury is super cool of you. You seem like a great guy. I want to shake your hand. Also, we have to point out, In Praise of Shadows is kind of being, even in these tiny tweets, In Praise of Shadows, is being kind of dishonest, right? You using homophobic language to me, though, in calling me a low testosterone freak. That didn't actually happen. Didn't quite happen. He called you a freak on the basis that you went through this guy's friends, insulting them to try and paint him in a bad light. He called you a freak on that basis. He suggested you were low T on the basis that you are overweight and hate guns. Saying someone's low T is not inherently homophobic language. Calling someone a freak is not inherently homophobic language. And even in context, there is nothing homophobic about this. None detected whatsoever. Silly. Ridiculous. My base thoughts remain the same. This guy values that a great deal. Remember how he kept saying, I stay exactly the same no matter what? That is the ideal. Just everything staying exactly the same. That's good. Even if you're fucking wrong and a moron. Even though I should have said them differently. And not let that cloud my writing. One of their best, by the way. One of their best. Actually, speaking of him being one of their best, this is a, this is in fact a reference. We'll We'll get to this. We'll get to this after I go through this. Because, believe it or not, In Praise of Shadows has defenders. You'll never believe the terms on which they defend him, by the way. To Mutahar, your thumbnail art was transphobic. I have nothing else to say to that. Mr. Media Critic. Mr. Go in depth about things. Think. Analyze. Care to explain the ways in which it was transphobic? No? Why not? Tear them apart. Explain why. I'm listening. I mean, the art has pretty much 1:1 ratio of proportions to a source photo of Keffals, with the only difference really being to feminize Keffals, to make the lips fuller, for instance. Generally considered to be a feminine feature, many women deliberately try to plump their lips, whether surgically or with, like chemicals that sting them and make them larger. Right? I always try to do my best. No, you don't. I dropped, that's scary. Whichever way you take him. We're still going on this tard. Yes, he's apologized. He's he's seen the error of his ways. We're reading his repentance. We're reading his repentance, all right? I dropped the ball here in how I presented this. My heart was in the right place. I tried to live my life with integrity. If you have watched me for a long time, I hope you know this. I try to live my life with integrity. No one knows anything about you. How many thousands of hours of video of you are online? How much do people see of the real you? They only see, I stream for hours and hours every week. I used to stream for, like 56 hours a week. There was a year where I streamed like 56 hours a week. Even that is not enough to really know someone, because at any given moment I know you can see me. This guy, putting out a few video essays. No one fucking knows you. Live your life with integrity, you weird-ass fucking creeper cult leader bitch. Stop it. Stop it. I will always believe in trying to do the right thing. Very brave. I will always believe in trying to do the right thing. I think good is good. I think doing good things is good. And standing up to things that I do not believe in. Good things are good. And I oppose bad things. By the way, this event that hired Kevin Spacey, I paid to visit it. I helped to, reward them monetarily for that. By the way, cutting people out of the industry is important and you shouldn't give them money. Woohoo, woohoo. I was overcome with anger because I think it is incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous? How many deaths? How many deaths? That there is a man in horror that you cannot criticize without being called an F-slur for days on end. I think that is a very serious issue. That's not actually really what I got out of your video at all. Not one little bit. Weird. But I did let that anger at this affect my overall quality in the presentation of these events. I still think that is dangerous. Like, what is the danger? What is the danger? Why is it very serious? What happens when people do that? Did you know you can put the homo F word into your list of filtered words on Twitter and then never see it again? Put a few variations in there. I'm sure there's probably a resource with like a bajillion different variations to try and bypass filters, and you can just copy paste that into your Twitter filtered word list if you don't want to see it again. Like, what happens when people do that? Nothing. I mean, it put you in the hospital or in the doctor's office, supposedly, but I think that's more about you than that. I still think it should be talked about, but I should have worked at this to make my thoughts more clear and professional. What's Charles been saying? Meme Bastard, who I know as Charles. Am I correct? It is indeed Charles Khan. For some reason I thought I was mistaken. He says, I don't use the F-slur often, but good lord, this guy is one R-slurred F-slur. Something to think about. Anyone else getting spammed on Twitter with these DM requests where it's like, to date a beautiful woman near you, click on the link and the system will match you? Go away. Lots of Korean bots messaging me. Very strange. Anyway, you hate this person more than anyone we've covered. Really? Really? I mean, to be honest, surely one of the benefits of him not making, a living, of him not being able to get as much money as he needs, why act with professionalism when it's not really a profession? It's fine. If you are unburdened by needing to make a living and have everyone like you now, you're free from the shackles of professionalism. Just enjoy it. It's clear that he wants to just bitch at people, snipe them, create dishonest hit pieces. Hit pieces rule, but, xenoestrogen-fueled bitch pieces full of lies and misrepresentation, that's not cool. A hit piece to take someone down that is full of facts, hey, that rules. Even if you're spite-driven in doing that, if it's full of facts, go off. This guy, that shit's trash. But if he wants to do that, just abandon professionalism. You've already said you can't make it work as a career for you. I also think that it is telling that the bulk of what I said has not actually been addressed at all. Yeah. But not in the way you think. Brother, you criticized someone. One of your biggest problems with an individual was that they were happy a child rapist was killed. It's telling that given these hours you spoke for, there are standout gems of retardation. In the same way that you say, sorry, Brandon, I saw who you hung out with, and I didn't think you were worth my time. Praise of Shadows! People saw a clip of you saying, fuck this guy, he was happy a pedophile was killed. And they decided you were not worth their time, and looked like a suspect freak. Cuts both ways. The knife you cut others with may also cut you. Beware, live by the sword, die by the sword. Yet again, learn. It's not going to happen, though. It will never happen. And that many criticisms were instead about details that I got wrong. It's telling. It's telling that many criticisms of my work focus on the blatant falsehoods I tried to spread about people. Such is the nature of Brandon's work. I feel like it is important to note, even if I was off in some details. It's important to note blatant falsehoods, even though they're wrong? What do you mean? I don't even understand what he's saying here. Mentally, I have grown very tired. I have grown very tired of conservatives picking apart my work for 2 years. You mean being critiqued? This guy wants to be a critic, but considers criticism to be some form of abuse of the person who made the work. If you think critique is abuse and you do it, you're a bad person. By your own values and understanding of the way the world works, you're an abuser of anyone who makes any of the media you critique. Praise of Shadows. One of the reasons you probably feel so bad is that in your own heart, you see yourself as a monster. It's I guess, cognitive dissonance. It's gotta be. What is this? I am worn down. I let my emotions get the best of me here, but the core idea in this needed to be addressed. What was the core? Your video didn't really have a coherent core. It was like 3 or 4 lame-ass videos stitched together in a Frankenstein patchwork. Frankensteinian patchwork. Let's go. But this was beneath me. This was a product that began with The Hills Have Eyes, ultimately. I made this video to say that even if Wendigoon did not harbor hate, that his base was made of it, and that he was comfortable making money from that. Counterpoint. What is this? There's this idea that, hey, you have a bunch of evil people in your audience giving you money. You're taking evil money. Even if you're good, you're taking evil money or something, right? Hey, why isn't a good person reducing the amount of money bad people have good? I don't understand. I don't understand this point. You're wasting evil's time on entertainment. You're making them waste their time on entertainment instead of doing something destructive. And you, a person who is not bad yourself, is taking away their money so they have less resources. That's good, yes? How is that bad? I don't understand. I don't get it. And I think that point stands true and has now been proven, and it is now time to end this. Wendigoon, it is over. Taste my wrath. Warida. Today, I will be taking that section down from my video. Destroyed. Utterly obliterated. Extinguished. Crybully. My man complained about Kevin Spacey not getting cancelled. He then tried to cancel Wendigoon. Immediately folded and, cancelled himself. In a space he has full control over. The platform YouTube isn't making him do this. He doesn't have to do it for the sake of the platform. He's not avoiding being deplatformed. He has been mind-fucked into censoring himself. Absolute biggest L possible. Obliterated. I don't know. I will be gone for a month while I recharge and work on projects at a slower pace. How? Didn't he just tell us he's struggling terribly? Financially, this is where his money comes from, and every month he's late on rent. Did he just win? Chat, has anyone kept an eye on his Patreon? And of course we can't keep an eye on, individual donations. Was this bait to get someone to step in and give him money to own the chuds? Why can he afford to take a month's break when he was telling us how badly he was struggling? Was this bait and he got the money he wanted from people defending him? Could that be what happened? Did he just Sarkeesian? I think he may have. I thought this was important to talk about. I still do. But the way I went about it was beneath the normal standard that I hold to myself. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I haven't watched any of your other stuff. $1,165 a month in Patreon. And he bitches about the struggle. How is he getting 1.165 grand a month in Patreon, plus whatever other streams of revenue he has? For me, I have to come to get enough money. I have to come from as many angles as I can that I think will work and not cause problems overall, and to scrape together the amount I get that's enough, right? To just have your Patreon baseline be 1.1 grand, that's fucking great. That's really good. And then presumably he has other sources that match or exceed that. Bro, I don't know. There's something funny going on here. I feel like the ultimate victim of him might be his audience. I think he's presenting a funny image of himself. I really suspect he's presenting a funny image of himself. Look at Graphtreon. Or was his Patreon... Yeah, was his Patreon always at that much? Okay. In Praise of Shadows. Patreon. The real strategy for him would be to have it private. So I've got this. Like one grand isn't enough. $1,000 isn't enough. Presumably. But if one of his sources is 900, like how bad can he be doing? Graphtreon. Let's go here. In Praise of Shadows. Okay. He's Sarkeesian. I believe he's Sarkeesian. He wins. In Praise of Shadows wins. He was baiting for haters to make more money on Patreon. He's on £946 a month. Unfortunately, it's showing it in pounds on his Patreon. He made a video crying about how he's a victim of unfair criticism and that ruined his ability to make a living on YouTube. He then shows he's a victim of a hate crusade. And then he said insane things about as many creators as he could to piss off their following so that their following would be angry at him and say stuff, and then people will come and defend him. Look at this graph. Hey! Oh, here's his Patreon. Seems pretty stable. Last couple days, whoa! Okay. It's a couple hundred. But it's a couple hundred more a month. A couple hundred a month to dredge out that trash? Hey. I mean, hey. Right? 900 paying members on Patreon. Also, worth considering. A lot of people are very kind, very generous, and when they appreciate some of your content, I've many times had people send me a tip and desire no recognition whatsoever. So he might have, massive tips privately as well. Who knows? Right? True! Grums won. The censorship is gone. The hard R graffiti that was explicitly censored for cultural sensitivity reasons, the hard R graffiti in Stellar Blade has returned. Look it up. I was wrong. They got rid of all the censorship. Made this right. Where are we at? To my audience, I apologize. Wait, but the way I went about it was beneath the normal standard that I hold myself to. Let me cut it. Let's go. Blam. Blam. Wait, really? No. What I said would happen has happened. They got what is it? Like, the versions that are more like the originals available as an option? And now the hard R thing doesn't even matter, right? The win? Hey, the win is Paul Tassi being upset. That's what we're really going for, guys. Paul Tassi is mad. Censorship loses. Great. If you felt that you have been mischaracterized, that was not my intention. And I genuinely am sorry. There are ways to talk about this that could have been more professional. And as with anything in life, I'll use this to learn and always do better. I care so much about horror. It is my life. I feel like even if you really, really, really love something like that, maybe if you actually create that thing, it like being your life isn't fully weird to say. And I grew tired and scared of seeing hate growing on the fringe of something I care so deeply about. Horror is about kindness. Horror is about love. Until next time, Zane. Tim, you didn't even share the petition. Why are you complaining? I signed the petition and shared it many times. Okay? You're welcome. Did you know without my signature, none of this would happen? Sterling's trying to get a new BF for his harem. Show me. Show me. How many videos did I make on the page? 1, which is still enough. Which is still enough. Right. I mean, horror can be about love. I think compressing it into that one thing is weird. Did I see the infighting? Yes. Something about, apparently they didn't give the option for all the outfits. They've decided now. Right. Originally it was, this is obviously censorship. Now it's because some of them have given you the option to have, the original version. That means the ones where they didn't do that aren't censorship. That's their vision. We know it's their vision now. Initially, they of course knew it was censorship. Then, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Now they know it isn't. Because they know Paul Tassi is upset. Sad. But, oh well. Get the bag. It's fine. I'm free from it. I'm no longer a gamer. I can't play games. I'm free from the paused censorship abyss. Did I see Tobuscus's tweet about the Mayo Clinic refusing to do a lung transplant on his mom because she refuses to take the COVID vax? I didn't, but it is true that Tobuscus warned us. Tobuscus warned us, Joe Biden will take our organs. Was that the thing? You don't owe any of these slime bags an apology. And the hate you are getting over this only proves that you were correct in the first place. I said it! I said it! He's doing the thing! Hey, feminist articles are proved correct by the response to feminist articles. He's doing that, but like, videos shitting on you are proved to be correct by the response to shitting on you. And the replies, as always, proving you right. Great. We have a defender. Hang on, let's go back a bit. I like this. Trolls create truth through farming anger. Yeah, if you call someone names and then they get mad about it, it means you were right to call them names. And that reveals a deep truth. That reveals a deep truth. Did you know, if you attack someone viciously, especially with lies, and people who like them are very harsh towards you, that means you were right in what you said about the original person. Zoom the crop in. Oh yeah, my bad. I just found this interesting. The terms on which you are meant to defend in Praise of Shadows. Hala's back, of course. 857 followers, but they got some attention from the community, right? We're always complaining about how there's not enough solidarity amongst leftists on film Twitter. That could be true. That could not be true. Who knows? But here we have one of the best queer horror video essayists in the game getting unjustly attacked by conservatives. What if he was unjustly attacked by leftists? Would that still be a problem? And I really don't, or is it unjust because it is conservatives, or at least who you perceive to be conservatives? And I really don't feel like enough of us are doing your part. Javi the ship girl. Throw stones. Shocked when stones get thrown back. I'm not really here to debate Nazis. Dog. I want to see more of this, actually. Not of this person, necessarily. I wonder if they said more. Oh no, they did get...
has become a member.
Why did they get a lolliconoid?
To the Hills Survives video that IPO's made?
I haven't, Ring Roro. Because I'm presuming that it would be best for me to have watched The Hills Have Eyes before I watch what he says about it. Would that not be wise? I presume if, you know, even if what he says... The issue with that video, of course, is how it was received by its viewers. Its viewers haven't necessarily watched it, but in analyzing his critique, or whatever he presents in his video, it's probably best if I'm aware, even if I don't need to be, to understand the reaction to it. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Oh! Conservative voices are always louder than ours, but seeing the apathy of film Twitter on this debacle fucking sucks. We complain about anti-intellectualism. There is no attack on In Praise of Shadows that can be made and considered anti-intellectual. There is no intellect there, to begin with. We complain about anti-intellectualism and insidious centrists all the time. But when someone actually takes a stand against that, we let the right tear them apart. What's being done to him? And how do you want to stop him? It's this stuff I don't get. I don't get it. I want to surf a little bit for more of this. What if I search... What if I just go In Praise of Shadows? I'm hiding it for a sec because I'm just searching In Praise of Shadows on Twitter and, you know... You never know what might pop up on the timeline. Bunch of people saying he's having a meltdown. I'd say that's about right. Someone simply describing him as being vomit-inducing. People calling him a retard. Oh! We have a salt mine. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a salt mine. It's time to go into In Praise of Shadows likes. Let's go. Let's go. We can harvest more of his tears before I move on to the next thing. Before I move on to the next thing, we can harvest more of In Praise of Shadows tears. Oh. Taking some time away from the internet will clear your head and be a first step in putting you in the right direction, I hope. Sorry these past couple of years have been so hard on you. Recommend your stuff to my horror-loving friends. This guy says, I do agree that this wasn't your best work. I needed some time to step away and put into words why I didn't like it as much as your other videos. Why? And I'd rather we discussed it with your Patreon community anyway. We need to discuss it in the bunker. Let's discuss it in the bunker of delusion. Let's go. Very good. But yes, exactly what I was going to say, Hex. It takes you time to figure out what was wrong with that video. How? Perhaps it might take someone time to tease out what was of value, but it is on its face fucking ludicrous. Take as long as you need. What you brought up in your video is so important, and your thread here is so well handled. The reactions you received were in complete bad faith. He admitted to spreading lies, unthinkingly because of his bias, anger and hatred. Do you think people aren't genuinely upset and mad that he did that? What do you mean they're doing it in bad faith? These people who are angry at you and shitting on you, they're disingenuous. They don't actually think you lying about someone they like is bad. What the fuck do you mean? You made mistakes, but that discredits none of your main points. They do, actually. If your point is that you get attacked for ideological reasons, and you do a bunch of retarded shit, and people say they're attacking you for the retarded shit you do, that actually undermines your point and claim that you're being attacked along ideological lines. Because actually, they just hate the retarded shit you're doing and the mistakes you made. Mistakes. Wasn't a mistake. Calculated risk you took. Oh, what is this guy saying? I finally finished watching the video yesterday evening, and for what it's worth, he couldn't even watch it in one sitting? He couldn't take it? I did enjoy parts of the video, and took away the general point you were aiming to make. I do think we give horror and other genres of storytelling a pass. Either because of what the audiences are hungry for, or for the directors, critics, and content creators that gas it up. Okay, that was just a disjointed like. Alright. Oh shit, you really went after him. Congrats. He likes it. Oh, let's go. Cool. Windlass says, whoever this is, Musketana, a non-binary trans elfin genderfuck. Very well. Says, In Praise of Shadows is taking a huge risk here, talking about a specific, very popular YouTuber and his evangelical Christian far-right politics. And as someone who has spoken on this before, I have to applaud him and wish him the best. Let me peep this. Only 20 minutes in. Sorry, this Bob person watched the first 20 minutes of this fucking video and said, only 20 minutes in, but this is fire. I love seeing YouTubers I'm already a fan of making more explicitly political content. That's a counter-argument to the video. Praise Shadows spends like an hour stating that he never changed and he's always been this explicitly political. You're arguing against his video in your praise of it. But because it's positive, he's like, yeah! These are the types of videos that save me from becoming, let's just say, gross, like 5 years ago. You mean saved you from enjoying the death of pedophiles? Very well. William S. Churros. Enjoying right now. Oh no, you're going after Wendigoon. This video is now priority viewing. Okay. This again is an interesting one. We've talked about this before, but it was also cathartic the way you vented about your frustrations about the state of the channel. I think it's a reminder that everyone needs that no channel is safe from the changing tides of the YouTube algorithm. This In Praise of Shadows guy doesn't believe it's an algorithmic issue. He thinks he's the victim of slander and mischaracterization of his commentary in a video, and that's what made it happen. Again, these people are agreeing with his video, but exclaiming things that tell us they don't agree or understand his video, they just like it for some reason. Crazy. Crazy. And does In Praise of Shadows not recognize that they don't understand what they're looking at? Does it not rankle him as a purveyor, as an advocate of media literacy? Does it not bother him that even though they're supporting him, they didn't understand what he said? Actively. He, him, SCP author. Oh, brother. Jesus Christ. Actively one of my favorite video creators on YouTube. From franchise deep dives to more esoteric subjects in horror, like this. I never regret watching one of Zane's videos. This one is meaty, and I can't wait to dig in. Hell yeah. Blah, blah, blah. It's the same guy again. Pim's Crypt. A non-binary Swede making video essays about spooky shit. Is this with Whaler? I've said it so many times before that I feel like it's starting to lose meaning, but you are such a bloody talented storyteller. Both how you talked about the convention and your Hills Have Eyes video was so captivating. Everyone, especially fellow video essayists, need to see this one. This is a good meme. This is pretty funny. I like this post. So we've gone past the response to his video, of course. I love the way this poster implies there was a dark side to Hitler we didn't know about. That's pretty funny, yeah. I agree. I want people to see the video as well. I was worried. You know, I look at a lot of fucked up people. And something I worry about is that viewers will think I've gone too far. In that I've chosen to showcase someone who is so impaired that it's just unfunny cruelty to feature them. I was worried watching that guy's video that it would hit that point for you guys, and that you just would not want to watch it because it just makes you sad or upset instead of enjoying it. True, they can't see the original video. Did he do the big YouTuber edit power? Okay. I'm curious about something. I'm gonna do a Twitter advanced I'm gonna do a Twitter advanced shit. Hang on. The funny thing as well, so he said he removed that 40-minute segment, right? It's really funny that he did, because it's so obvious that in his mind he was dropping an H-Bomber Guy-esque nuke, where people would be, interested in his general talk about a subject, and then, the nuke dropped! He's gonna Summerton this guy! Wendigoon is going to kill himself! His fantasy was that he was gonna enthrall people, and then drop the Wendigoon bomb, and they were all gonna go along with it. And now he's had to cut his own nuts off. He's had to cut out the only bit of the video that he actually cared about and wanted to impact people. Neutered, sterile, eunuch video. Anyway, I'm doing a quick Twitter advanced search. Wendigoon has such rancid vibes, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop one day. Anyway. Would you like a palate cleanser? Just a little fun video. I think card posting has fumbled a couple times. I think a lot of his older Dog Whistle videos were really bad. Some of the newer ones, or at least one of the newer ones, I think is right. He identified a dog whistle. The early life dog whistle video, I think he identified something that is used as a dog whistle. He did it. And explained it. His Mutahar Keffels video, I think wasn't a hit. Because I don't think there was any faction that thought the Mutahar Keffels video was going to have some sort of massive society-wide impact. Like the way in which he's describing it in Nothing Burger is a way in which I don't think many people would disagree. Very, very, very weak video. However, 7 hours ago, Card wisely decided to go Giga Chad on a topic. And I don't think I'm going to have much issue with it, but I think I might have some stuff to say. Possibly add to, or maybe slightly challenge some of it, even though I happen to know I know what his overall take is. His overall take, pretty based. He commented on my video where I was like just doing a live response to extra credits talking about the price of video games. You can see from the thumbnail, the take is going to be fairly based. But let's see if we have something to say. Don't embarrass you on stream. Very well. Don't worry.
Hello.
It's been a while since we've seen Card. When was the last time?
My name's Card. And here on my YouTube page, I like to make simple...
When was the last time we saw him? I can't remember. I think it was just the Keffels Nothing Burger. Oh well. He responded to Josh's Substack article. Was it on Substack? Whatever. There are things I could say about his response to Josh's article. But I'd rather see Josh talk about it, which I don't think is happening. So maybe we can watch that at some point. Because I read Josh's article. I'm not sure about Card's characterizations of it. And I'm also not sure about Card's characterization of Josh, but that doesn't mean I'm sure he's wrong. I don't know if Josh is an ancapoid, to be honest. Anyway, Carter's going to talk about the price of video games.
Little videos talking about topics I'm interested in. Today, I just wanted to quickly talk a bit about how video game discourse is seemingly coming back into being one of the topics at the forefront of the culture war cycle.
Did you say specifically? Let me put on closed caption. Did you just say video game discourse? Yeah, okay.
Seemingly coming back into being one of the topics at the forefront of the
Fair,
culture
sure.
war cycle.
It never went away, Hex, but it surfaced. It surfaced a bit more heavily for a while. You know, we can look at that with Matt Walsh trying to get in on it, and you know, things like that.
A lot like when we did all this 10 years ago, once again, people online have started talking about stuff like how representation is, depending on which side you take, either good and more important than ever, or actively destroying Western civilization, and about whether or not it's a good idea that more and more games are always online today. And
that's a really important point to this. That is really important to know what I know one of the core things he's going to say is. Bear that in mind.
What I want to focus on today, people are talking more and more about the price of digital entertainment. It seems like every week I see someone else throw their hat into the ring of commentating on the fact games are getting more expensive and what may be driving that trend.
Yeah. Gamers being bitches and being willing to spend that much. Begging to spend more. Not just being willing to spend the $70, but being willing to spend the $130 to get the early access and all that shit. Yeah.
And while, generally, I think most online gamer-centric discussion is largely just a circle jerk about non-issues, if there is one element...
He's doing the thing again. You've come into the arena of gaming. Of course. Of course it's not solving world hunger. It's not figuring out a system of governance where everyone is equal and everyone is free. That can be instituted. It's not fucking magic. It's not world issues. Well, I mean, it obviously ties in. It's not nothing, but if you're gonna talk about it, I think it's fair for people to assume any importance you give it is going to be within the shackles of the domain of gaming, right? If you say something super important and you're talking about games, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, it's more important than, cost of living. It's more important than old people starving to death and freezing to death because heating is expensive or something like that. I don't know.
On the consumer side of the fence of the entertainment industry and its practices that could be argued to even be slightly consequential. It's how media is priced and what you, the hypothetical purchaser, should expect when you pay.
Hold on 1 second. And its practices. That's one thing that could be argued to be slightly consequential, but also games as propaganda. Games as propaganda is a big one.
Consequential? It's how media is priced and what you, the hypothetical purchaser, should expect.
Is this a card subtweet video to you? I don't think so. I imagine I may have sparked the subject a bit, but I don't think he engages with anything I said. It's just his take on the topic.
When you pay for stuff. So that's what I want to talk around today. The price of games.
Is Card posting some lolcow who tries to leech off of Tim or something? No! We love Card in this house. We love Card. He's a genuine leftoid who is weird enough of a leftoid to not be afraid of engaging with certain topics or talking about things in certain ways. As such, regardless of what I think about some of his takes or the quality of some of his videos, like some of the dog whistle ones, I think he's worth looking at for sure. Yeah. Yo, confirmed. Card posting is here. I saw your comment. Might be the real card, might not be, who knows. I know Despair likes role-playing his card.
The way I see it, there's two main arguments floating around in the discourse on the subject of games pricing at the moment.
Okay.
On one hand, you can very easily point to the fact that high-end games have gone, in living memory, from being sold at release around a $20 price point to $40, $60, $80, and now sometimes even $100 a piece. That's an objective fact, and it's surely worse for the consumer, of course.
Sure, people get annoyed at that.
You can also very quickly point out that the transition over the past decade and a half or so from physical media to digital storefronts has, in practice, gutted a lot of consumer protections, like the right to own your product outright and often your ability to get a refund when it's warranted.
That's a little bit better than it has been. That's something that's improved, but not perfectly. It's only improved because of the near monopoly Steam has and, like, you know, Valve's policy regarding refunds. So it's not really fixed. I'm not sure about legal protections regarding digital products, to be honest.
There's a lot.
Just policy being decently consumer friendly on major platforms. Not ideal, sure.
There to potentially get mad about.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, if you want to run apologia for the price of games, you could argue that, for instance, games certainly aren't a necessity. They're just a luxury no one is making you buy in the same way that you need food and shelter and probably electricity.
Yeah, but we're getting out of the domain of we're already talking about games, though. I think everyone recognizes that we're in the domain of talking about games. So I don't need. I don't know if that's really the other side's point. I think normally the thing that's countered with is, look how expensive they are to make. Look how big these projects are. Look how big the teams are. Look how many people need to get paid. Blah 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 blah.
Even so,
which isn't necessarily perfect, but that's what I see more. I think that's more relevant.
Digital entertainment has, by and large, actually increased in price a lot less than the general rate of inflation in most of the West. And in general, higher prices for modern AAA games are arguably reflective of the need to recoup the cost of more people doing more work on bigger titles now, compared to, say, back in the 90s.
That's probably the more common one.
Here's the thing. If you're an online commentator arguing either side...
And then you get into, you know, cost of distribution, size of audience available. A lot of that money is going into marketing to maximize volume of sales, which can allow you to charge less, ideally. Because otherwise, what's the point of paying for the marketing? If the marketing's not getting you more money, why are you doing it? Doesn't really matter what I'm saying. No, Chinese Star, it doesn't matter. Because we all know what Card's going to say, based on the thumbnail, and I know based on the comment. All of this is going to be nullified. Prepare, stop darting. Don't hit Card with a sleep dart. But I mean, stop doubting. It's coming. I'm sure all of this is going to be cut through.
Side of this debate with reasons like any of those I just ran through. One, you're probably already just intractably set in stone on the matter.
Ooh.
And two, you're missing the bigger point entirely. I would say, personally, games are cheaper than ever nowadays, because it's easier than ever to just not pay for them. It's super easy to pirate everything these days.
I intensely disagree. And I disagree for a reason at the start. This is a fundamentally based take. And obviously, if you're going to say, for the average person to pirate most games, like, there are more games you can pirate. It's easier to do. Everyone knows how to do it. Easy to figure out how to do. It's not some fucking mystery thing you need to find out about from someone else. The issue is, I think overall, this point doesn't work because of what Card mentions at the start. The always online shit, which also ties into the issues with never really having ownership of a game. It's sort of parallel to that as well, in that even if you did, you're relying on a server or a service, and you know, for all intents and purposes, you lose your game if that goes down. There's a problem connected to that of companies preventing you from creating your own private servers and whatnot, but even needing to do that is a barrier, and, you know, not very consumer friendly to rely on them to maintain an infrastructure forever. Right, but more and more games seem to be designed to be always online, in part to prevent piracy. I'm sure there are examples. Where that's been gotten around. Like perhaps was there a city? Was there like a city builder that was like it has to always be online, but they fixed it? Maybe I'm misremembering. But it also seems like more and more games want to be. It was SimCity, okay. So maybe there are examples of something where it's always an online component can be gotten around, but it seems more and more they want games to not be able to function without their infrastructure and being connected at all times. And they want to bake into the game's core elements. They would make it so that if you could have it offline somehow and bypass, you wouldn't be able to. So the price of pirating it would be maintaining a server, for instance. Might not even be worth doing it. So, look, advocating piracy will always be based. But I don't think from this angle it's cheaper than ever. You know, the price is zero. It's actually cheaper than ever because it's easier. I don't think it is easier than ever. And I think it's going to get harder and harder because they're going to design them in such a way that it's either impossible or a nightmare to pirate because of the infrastructure you need to run to get it to work. And on top of that, not really worth mentioning now because it's not about the price of a game. Although it can impact the price of a game. Or rather, perceived value and how bad the price is. And I presume more and more we're going to see these live service games, and part of it, besides all of that, is going to be monetization. And where was I going? Wait a sec. I was reading comments. Hold up, we'll see. Maybe he's saying that far break. We'll see that. I'm going on my own thing. So there's going to be unable to avoid the jaws of the monetization. There's also going to be a thing where, because it's monetized in ways like mobile games are, because it's going to have that nickel and dime system, we're going to have more and more of the big games trying to use all those strategies of long-term engagement, combined with being always online, combined with social elements. Make it your community. Make it where your social life is. Have it be more of a space than just a set of rules and a place to play or a story to experience. They want you sucked in there. On top of that, if we want to go tinfoil, there's also more and more pressure to have games function as propaganda. And all of that is going to combine to make it harder than ever to pirate games and heavily impact the value people feel they're getting, because it's going to be just a soul-sucking, mind-fucking wallet leech. Anyway.
And you should...
Maybe I just pause-andied. Maybe Card is going to immediately address always online games and the issues that creates for piracy, because he did mention always online ones at the start.
Pirate everything. Back in the day, it was significantly harder, albeit not impossible, to pirate stuff. But, you know, a lot of file distribution websites back then sucked and the internet was way worse.
Sure.
And it was just...
In these ways... relevant and peculiar, from our perspective as people who grew up with that, I presume, I think it's fair to say for older people. And like, when I was a kid, I was using fucking LimeWire, which is probably real dangerous. I was blindly using fucking LimeWire. Nowadays, of course, I'd never pirate anything. Nowadays, I'm aware of so much more.
Much easier to get your games on disk or whatever. But now, with just an entry-level internet connection, you can basically have any piece of digital entertainment you want, usually the same day or week it officially comes out, for free very easily. So by a practical
Yeah? For many. For less and less, though. So this is something that becomes less true. So his point about ease and ease of access to that information and people's general knowledge about how to do this. Sure. The number of products that's possible to do with, I think, is decreasing, though, because of counters to it that are not just as simple as, I'm not a technological person. It's not as simple as cracking the DRM. It requires some sort of infrastructure.
Measure, games are in fact cheaper than ever now. That's it, end of argument. Just pirate stuff if you want it. It's that easy. Then you also get to stop having this debate
for many things, right? I mean, a funny example in between the 2 points is like free-to-play games. I mean, there are games that are just free and people put them out there for free. But there are free-to-play games, and those tend to be always online. And then the way they get you is elements of content within that cost money. I don't know of any example of that that you can pirate the nickel and dime elements of it. And that's, I mean, look at phone games. Look at how much money that pulls in, right? I think the trend matters.
Over whether or not stuff is more expensive too. And whenever the topic of digital media piracy comes up online, you always inevitably get people twisting themselves into knots, pseudo-rationalizing it with claims like, it's not illegal if you already owned it at some point.
What?
That's not true, and it's never been true, not anywhere. Copyright theft is a crime.
Oh, sure. This is just like an aside about what some people worry about and say. Sure.
As dumb of a concept as such a law is. But you can still pirate stuff really easily, and you'll never see any sort of legal repercussion for it in practice.
Odds are pretty low. I knew a guy who got fucked for downloading Friends, as in the sitcom.
Just pirate stuff without any pretense.
In practice,
Or pomp or needless rationalizing, and suddenly this whole debate becomes such a non-problem. Are entertainment products too expensive? Not to me. Can my access to the product be revoked suddenly? I doubt it. Can I modify the product and...
Depends which one. For many games. This works for many, many games. But it doesn't work for all. And the trend is for it to work for less. So I think overall this doesn't work. I think the introduction of like always online games and the increasing the increasing number that release and require you to always have an online connection and require you to use proprietary infrastructure and whatnot. I think those counter the idea that it's easy to pirate. Because looking to the future, I don't see that decreasing or going away.
Redistribute it to my friends? I sure can. Same principle goes for all forms and formats of media. Just pirating it solves every issue. Every couple of years, you see a clickbait.
You also run into problems for things that aren't always online if they have an online component that you cannot bypass or find an alternative to. Because, of course, a major pressure for people to buy a game is social. obviously, people want to play the games their friends are playing. With games as a service that have a social element, the games even bank on that. They want you to feel pressure to play the games your friends are playing, to be on the same page socially as them, especially if there's an element where you play together. If you all pirate a game that has an online functionality and doesn't let you just, play it over LAN or use Hamachi to sort of spoof playing it over LAN over the net, pirating doesn't let you get that experience, so you're still out in the cold. There are more barriers than this makes out, okay?
Headline about how some streaming service or another is removing old content like a TV show that did blackface or said racial slurs or something.
Sure.
Is doing this good? Is it bad? Should you care?
It doesn't matter, because I can just pirate it and have an archive.
I don't care, because all the shows that I've had on my hard drives for years aren't going anywhere. Frankly, if you pay for entertainment...
This is sort of, I think, blurring a couple issues. There are people who are like, well, I won't have access to it. Sure. Card is correct, this owns them. Sure. If we're going to talk culture war, people are concerned about that as a signal of what's acceptable or not. They're concerned about that as programming or a message of morality to the masses and the influence that will have, perhaps in the form of a nudge to the masses, right? They're concerned about its effect on other people. And piracy, you can disagree with that, but this doesn't work as a counter to that. And I think that argument very much does exist and is common. And it's common on both sides, right? If we go away from this example of shows, it's very, very, very common in gaming, the idea that games need to present the right moral message or have improper things sliced out to have the right effect on the masses, and then the people countering that don't want the world to be indoctrinated by only having one message presented.
You deserve to
So this point of things being taken down or censored or whatever isn't just about not having access to it, it's about the effect.
Mistreated by those rights-holding companies, because you'll take it. You get what you tolerate. If this is
That line, in a vacuum, very based. Let me just say something to be clear. Fuck gamers. Gamers are fucking morons. They will take anything. As a group, perhaps not you as an individual, as a group, the tiniest crumb, the tiniest concession, and they'll accept everything. Everything.
your first time listening to me, and you've made it this far, you can go now. I've said my piece. Learn your
Bye. No.
lesson or don't.
I
Doesn't
listen to
affect
this.
me. But if you're a more regular viewer of mine, you know I'm also a long-time progressive community organizer and activist and so on. And if that's an area you're in...
Yeah, Kuro, if you want proof, just look at these mobile games I get you to play. No, that's different. That's another different issue. That's me as a cult leader making you feel trapped into playing mobile games I get sponsorships for. That's my charisma overriding your common sense.
interested in. I wanted to tie what I've already said today.
Like you can't blame yourself for that. That's on me. That doesn't mean you're trash. That means I'm a monster. Don't worry. So with Card's giving a based take that I have some issues with, but I don't oppose the value. I think he's overstating piracy as a solution, especially the way things are going.
Into how
Like I remember I'm pause ending, but the old school approach, and there are many, particularly indie devs, who take the tack of, hey, piracy, but then if you like it, send them a tip, perhaps even more than they were asking for. Just saying, I'm going to consume and support media on my own terms entirely is something people do.
How my fellow organisers should be organising. Anyone who's ever done org work will know you typically end up making a lot of propaganda material. Propaganda isn't a dirty word,
It straight up is. It's a very dirty word. I think dirty word is like the perfect explanation of the problem with the term propaganda. Because you can look at it very raw. It just means, propagating your ideas. Yeah, but it's covered in mud. It's covered in connotations for so many different audiences. Right? Start your videos with, "Hi, I'm Card. I'm a propagandist." See what impact that has on people's perception of you. In fact, I'd say saying propaganda isn't a dirty word, is a poor propagandistic tactic. Or a poor move as a propagandist if you wish to be one.
just all the flyers and posters and mailers and maybe full-blown monthly newspapers if you're more committed than average. And putting all this sort of stuff together takes a fair bit of effort and resourcefulness. With any written material, you usually need to actually write the words, of course, but there's also graphic design and formatting, and they're really big parts of competently putting...
Yo.
Jack Hazard has fed the streamer a $2
Thank
Canadian
you.
dollars superberry. American psychophenotype.
Look, this is a pro card house, okay? Alright.
even just a newsletter together. And honestly, I'm stunned by how many times I've been in the basement of some lefty bookshop or similar where people are discussing the practicalities.
This is a house of cards. It's fine. We can't deny reality. Presentation gives certain Joaquin Phoenixes. Not Joaquin Phoenixes. No, who do I mean? Do I mean Joaquin Phoenix? Which one do I mean? I think I do. I think I do. He's the newest Joker, yes? I don't know my actors too well. Or was he the Dark Knight Joker? He's the latest. He does give like Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker vibes. But that's just true. It's just there. In the same way that I give Conehead vibes. Okay?
And logistics of making this sort of stuff. And the first thing someone suggests is buying some top-shelf Adobe program or getting a subscription to an image editing website or anything like that.
That's really funny. That must be painful. I'm going to be annoyed here if Card advocates piracy here, because no, there are just free programs that rule and are certainly good enough.
It sickens me. The right
Good.
tools do make the job infinitely easier, but you should never pay for stuff. There is always a no-cost alternative.
Yes, good. Thank you. In this house, we're all gimps.
Whether it's just an open source equivalent from a reputable provider or just pirating some good proprietary software. In your political organizing, you should always be looking to minimize costs. Ideally,
Sure.
right down to nothing. Which isn't usually hard if you use even a modicum of common sense. Knowing how to find free alternatives to a service or product you want, and knowing
Very
how
easy.
to pirate digital materials is a skill. Not a difficult skill to learn by any means either, but it is
Yeah, in the same way that, I don't know, riding a bike is. No, it's easier than riding a bike.
something you should strive
Not that I've ever pirated anything, to be clear.
to know how to do. If you take your boots on the ground lefty political project seriously at all, everyone involved should have this attitude. Anyone suggesting you need to pay for anything needs to have their head examined. And if you hear someone suggest it, you don't be afraid to push back then and there and tell them that they're wrong. And if you really know what you're doing, you realize this attitude ought to be extended to resources and services of every type. Any paper, canvas, poster board, wheat paste, any materials you need to make literature and signs and banners to be distributed can be gotten or made pretty readily at no cost if you know where to look.
Ooh.
And stuff like
Such as the back of a van.
tables, chairs, shade cloths, sound systems, barbecues, and all the equipment you need to run a protest or a demonstration on the day is most likely already out there in the community waiting for you. Ask around, make connections,
Sure.
meet new friends. If you run a
This advice is probably good. I was gonna say, if he went straight on, just fucking steal everything, I would say, this is fucking horrendous advice. Regardless of your political leanings, you are gonna get your shit kicked in.
good org, offers of help and supplies ought to come flooding in freely pretty quickly.
Oof.
If you don't intend to pay for anything
Maybe.
ever, you're also not beholden to the notion of recouping costs or needing to make a profit, and you'll never be at the mercy of whoever you're buying materials or services from. That's really all I wanted to say today. Just give it some thought.
Sure. Be
If you want to
thriftoid.
hear more from me, feel free to subscribe to this YouTube page, or just take a look at my other videos sometime. Either way, once again, my name's Card. Thank you for listening. Goodbye for now, and have a lovely day.
What was I gonna say? When are we gonna get the I don't think I'd characterize that as parasitic. If it's to be taken at face value, maybe a bit optimistic. Maybe a little bit optimistic. However, I mean, I'm sure all of you, from personal experience, I'm sure all of you have the like raggedy looking blown out bookstore with the like Free Palestine posters. If you're paying for a venue, if you're paying for instance, he gave chairs as an example, instead of just going there and saying, hey, can we use your bookstore as a venue at this time, blah, 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 you're insane. I can't help but imagine a problem you might run into is people looking to get involved to get paid themselves, rather than just recouping costs. I wonder if he has a problem with profit seekers. If that was real Card in chat, and if he's still here, something that came to mind that would be interesting or fun to have discussed or commented on somehow. I don't know how exactly. Maybe it's a bad idea. The Revolutionaries' Catechism. Sergei Nechayev. It'll be interesting to see how much you resonate with that attitude. See if you find that based. Maybe there's some kind of video in there or not, or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, generally based sentiment overstated as a solution. But what do I know? As a gamer, long-term solutions are very difficult for me. They're a struggle, a hurdle I'm not even willing to attempt to jump over. You see, as a gamer, I simply avoid strategy games because I don't like to think about long-term solutions in the future. Gamers have become less interested in strategic thinking and planning, says Nick Yee on Quantic Foundry. These guys, I guess their primary meme is their gamer motivation model and the profiles they let you generate. I think before I even read this, we can do it ourselves. Or rather, I can do it myself. I can see where I come and compare it to the rest of this. What is the polling method? You do it yourself. Well, I don't know if they collect the results from these surveys that random people are doing. I don't know if I submit this and then they add it to their dataset. That seems crazy and silly. Still interesting. Still interesting. And I presume this is what they present people with, or at least close to, or a version of. I'm going to get my gamer motivation profile. We're going to find out if I'm INFP, ISTJ, one of those things. You're saying strategy gaming is better than it's ever been. That's not the same as people not desiring it, or rather, gamers not being as interested. Sorry, gamers being more interested in it, essentially. Some of the biggest games ever are Total War games and Paradox. That doesn't counter this. That doesn't counter this. Because they're talking about fucking everyone that play games. And their overall interest in strategic thinking and planning. Right? Just because popularity of a franchise or a bunch of franchises that include strategic thinking has even spiked doesn't mean that overall gamers haven't become less interested, right? Granted, their data, their information, their interpretation might be janked, might be fucked. Who knows? We'll judge for ourselves. Please sign in so we can attach your results. After filling out a brief survey that should take 5 to 7 minutes, this profile tool will generate a customized report for you. The report will describe the traits that were measured and how you compare with other respondents. You will also be given a link to share your results. Based on your motivation profile, our game recommender engine will suggest games you may like. Okay. I don't think these guys would count RTS as strategy. I have a feeling. We'll get to that, though. Your responses may be used to refine the algorithms that generate the profile, and aggregate findings may be published in public or commercial reports. So it's garbage, is what I'm feeling. That is what I'm feeling. Should I answer with my current gaming habits or with my future? Sorry. Should I answer with what I'm going to be doing in 10 years? No. Should I answer with my current or with my past? With my past habits, back when I could play games. Egg. Which I guess has trans connotations. But it's a good meme. How old are you? 32, if you can believe it. Next. In a typical week, about how many days do you spend at least 30 minutes playing a video game? Should we... The thing is, if I answer with my current gaming, it's literally 0. I don't play games at all because they hurt. Yeah, I'll do before my eyes got fucked. Before my eyes got fucked, 67 days. Would you consider yourself to be a casual? You dabble in games, but in short sessions or infrequently. You regularly play video games, but are not super serious or competitive. Hardcore. You're a dedicated gamer and play seriously or competitively. I would be a core/mid-core gamer. Yes. Answer with your past results. The thing is, I thought it would be funny to just answer as someone who does not play games at all and see what happens. If they will recognize that you're not a gamer at all, or if there's an assumption that you must be a gamer to some degree. Which of these platforms do you usually play games on? That would be PC/Mac. What are some recent games released in the past few years you've enjoyed playing? Oh, they let you. Wild Frost. Wild Frost was sick. How long ago was... Rain World was 2016. Does that count as past few years? That's... Is it Rain Space World? Fake Rain World fan. 2017? They allow it? Dave the Diver, perhaps? Or should I slip in? Book of Hours. Yeah, Book of Hours ruled. I would have played way more Book of Hours. Oh! You know what I have to include? Yeah, I got a free copy of Animal Wealth from Twitch. Actually, the ultimate hack to get games for free is to be a cool streamer and then they throw games at you. More than you'd ever want. Wild Frost, Rain World, Tiny Rogues. These are all games I put a ton into in recent years, if 2017 counts as a recent year. Are you currently playing any web, mobile, tablet games? So if we're going to warp back in time, a few months perhaps, still check out the Devs podcast. Dev of what? Hey. Will they count Madge Solon? Madge Solon. And then we have to do AFK Journey. And we have to do Watcher of Realms. My sponsors count, of course. The real, actual, beautiful games that you should also play. As long as I'm still getting paid, which I'm not, so don't play them. Hold up. Right. Next. Are there any games you have enjoyed playing recently? Any other games you've enjoyed playing recently? Recently? Let me look at my Steam. It's been how many weeks now since I last played a video game? I'll put Balatro on there. I enjoyed the demo of Scald. We're gonna try to play Scald. We're gonna try. You played a game yesterday? Do you mean the one I ran for like literally 2 seconds? Another game I enjoyed playing recently. Velvet Deck. Velvet Deck was cool, yeah. Let's go for that. How important are the following game elements and activities to you when you play video games? Taking time to practice and master a game. When I have time for this, like this is my ideal kind of game. A game that requires you to do this, and if I could, this is what I love doing. Like I find this relaxing and like meditative, if it's the right kind of game. Extremely important. Discovering offbeat or unconventional ways to play the game. Very important because of what I do with games on streams, or what I did with games on streams, for sure. I like doing that for the entertainment factor, and especially if I break them. Getting to know all the main characters and their backstories. Slightly important because I enjoy some games' stories. Not very important. Barely important. Accumulating large amounts of in-game resources / currency. In and of itself, I don't care about raw number go up. An elaborate storyline. Elaborate story, not important at all. Taking on difficult challenges that may take many tries to succeed. That may take many yeah, I like difficult challenges for my personal entertainment, for sure. Yeah. The Balatro Joker actually used to work in Florida. Playing the game at the highest difficulty level. Depends on the game. The games I prefer typically don't have difficulty levels. Normally, the games I prefer, although, like, if we're going to take, like, examples I've already had, like Wild Frost, you're constantly, not constantly, you pile on difficulty with the bells and whatnot. We've got is it Ember System and Tiny Rogues? For personal entertainment, it can be very important. But there's a caveat in that, what if the highest difficulty level is just fucking stupid? Some of them it's dumb. To even try and go up to it. Completing all possible missions and achievements in a game. Oh, I don't care. That's like the Chivo Hunter one. Pretending that I am someone / somewhere else. I don't do that. Characters with interesting backstories and personalities. Like, if I'm gonna be subjected to characters, yeah. Very rare that I'd want to look for that, but it could happen. It could happen. I could imagine myself being sucked into like a new Yakuza game because of that, perhaps. Getting every possible star trophy unlocked. Nope. Don't care. Every collectible, not a collectathon man. Acquiring powerful weapons and artifacts. When relevant. For an ARPG, but I don't specifically seek out games where you do that. In the sense they're probably asking. Dominating other players. That's always enjoyable. I may not be good at it, but I aim for that sometimes. Becoming as powerful as possible. Where relevant, yes. But does this just mean in raw number go up? This is so hard to answer because like it applies in different ways to different games. Whatever, very important. Sure, having many customization, colors, style, skins, and options. Nope, don't care. How much do you enjoy the following game elements and activities? Being an agent of chaos and destruction, when implemented effectively in a way that's, actually feels like chaos being inflicted, sure. Gameplay that requires long-term planning and strategy. Enjoy a little. I'm going to feed into their coverage. But yeah, I prefer tactics over strategy. Let's put it like that. What do they mean long-term planning, though? What is long-term planning? Is a run in a roguelite where you make early decisions based on what you expect to happen later? Is that long-term planning? Or is long-term starting minimum at like a 4x? Enjoy somewhat. Gameplay with constant action and excitement. I used to enjoy that a lot. Gameplay that requires quick reaction times. Used to enjoy that a lot. Working towards a common goal with other players. Fucking hate it. Hate it. No. Competing with other players. Love it. Gameplay that requires careful decision making. I fucking love this to the max. Yeah. Card games. They tickle me. Lots of blood and gore. Enjoy somewhat, but it highly depends on context and effectiveness of presentation. Requires lots of thinking and planning. Enjoy a lot. Helping other players. Hate them. Take on the role of another character / person. The role of? Could enjoy. Using guns and explosives. If it's done well. If left clicking and a character fires a gun is done right, yeah, I fucking love that. Like Red Dead Redemption 2. Firing a gun in that game feels amazing. Blowing things up? Yeah. Gameplay fast-paced and intense? Yeah. Being immersed in another world place. I would if that happened, I'm sure, but I don't think that ever happens. Maybe it happened when I was a kid and played like Morrowind or something, but that's just not a thing for me, really. Going up against other players in duels or matches? Yes, let's go. Grouping up with other players. Maybe enjoy a little because like team FPS games is fun. How often do you do the following things when you play video games? Primarily focused on increasing your stats / level. If we're talking about a period of time where I was playing ARPGs, of course, all the time, or MMO all the time. Explore the game world just for the sake of exploring it. Sometimes. Experimenting with objects in the world just to see what happens. Often. To try and, break stuff. And destroy things. Try out many different things to test what the game world lets me do. Always. Considerable time into customizing my characters, cities, spaceships. Rarely. Study other players to improve my own gameplay. Sometimes. Look up guides, whatever. A lot of thought and effort into the character creation process. Because of streaming, that is something that happened often. Want to help game companies make new games? No. Fuck you, pay me. Skip and see my profile. Alright, let's go. Your Quantic gamer type is Acrobat. Is that a cryptic way of calling me a PDF file? Gamer type motto, flexing my reflexes. Your primary, dominant player type is the Acrobat. Acrobats are solo gamers who primarily want to take on challenging gameplay. And they really want to practice over and over again until they can take on the most difficult missions and bosses in the game. Sure. Action-oriented, persistent, relaxed, competitive, grounded, and practical. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe more like schizoid. Your profile consists of your percentile rank across a broad range of gaming motivations. Your scores are based on how strong your motivations are relative to other gamers. In this customized report, we'll explain how to interpret these scores and what motivations are measured. Action, mastery, social, achievement, creativity, immersion. We got the stealth bomber shape. Stealth bomber shape. Let's go. Read our blog on how we developed this. This is context. So this is what it spits out for me from when I was gaming. When I was gaming, this is what it spits out for me. All right. Explain how you cut these up. Super short version. We validated and refined our motivations model based on data from 30,000 gamers around the world. Okay, sure. Sure, whatever. I'll go straight to the article. Anyway, oh, spoiler! Okay. So, based on people answering that poll, gamers have allegedly become less interested in strategic thinking and planning. They say in their blog post, they focus a lot on demographic cohort comparisons and how motivations are linked to in-game preferences, usually using slices of contemporaneous survey data. But because we've been collecting data from our gamer motivation profile for about 9 years, we can also explore how gaming motivations have changed over a long period of time. Oh, is the crop all fucked? My bad. I did it for the poll, okay? Professional streamer, by the way. We can also explore how gaming motivations have changed over a long period. In this blog post, we'll deep dive into the long-term trend we've uncovered. Over the past 9 years, gamers have become less interested in strategic thinking and planning. So I guess as long as they've been asking pretty much the same questions, and have asked enough people, if this, changes, the change itself has got to be interesting, right? Even if it's fucked in some way, as long as they're consistent, it changing would be interesting. For this analysis, we use the data from 1 point. But Wildfang, they're not saying it's low, they're saying it's decreased. We used the data from 1.57 million gamers who participated in the gamer motivation profile between June 15th and April 2024. Respondents from China were excluded because gamers in China have a very different gaming motivation profile, likely due to the historically more isolated developments of the gaming industry. Damn. What is strategy in our gaming motivation model? Blah, 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 blah. Defined as the appeal of long-term thinking, planning, and careful decision-making. Gamers who score high on strategy prefer longer time horizons for planning and complex decision-making, with many underlying parameters to consider. All the branching decisions and likely outcomes. Seen in games like Europa Universalis and Total War. Okay, so those are their examples of the kind of game that count for strategy. But the thing is, when they ask you to, self-report on long-term thinking, it's unclear whether they mean something like that. So, right? How do you know? Gamers who score low on strategy prefer more reactive, spontaneous gameplay and simple decision-making with few underlying parameters to consider. But also, if we're talking underlying parameters, then maybe a roguelite would count. Such as in games like Just Dance and Animal Crossing. A good metaphor for strategy is the size of the whiteboard in your mind that each decision is taken to map out, think through, and optimize. Okay, I think I agree again. I think I agree again that there is a problem with this in the way that people answer, because who answering understands what they mean when they ask how much do you enjoy or how important is strategy to you? Who knows what they're actually asking when they answer about themselves? Right. Thoughts represent the average strategy score among gamers who responded to. Is this really boring? I think this is really boring. Hey, it's gone down. Strategy went from 50th percentile importance all the way down to like 35. Crazy. Magnitude of decline in strategy is equivalent to all adult men in the US losing 70 pounds in weight. This is too dry. This is too dry. I can't, look, I'm finding it hard to create gravy. I'm finding it hard to juice myself for this segment. Or this article. So I'm going to ask, do we have any short kings in the chat? Put on a wig, it will make people enjoy it. That was a dud. I thought it would be more interesting, but not really. Nope, don't at me. Yeah, Hex. Hex is immune to this. Hex is immune to this section because he's gay. I think he's immune. I highly doubt this subreddit is particularly queer. I highly doubt it. Did you know there is an anti-heightism subreddit? The Canderous brought my attention to it. I had some idea something like this existed. And I certainly knew it existed within, incels. But look, this subreddit has a rule. No incel terms or incel content. This is not an incel subreddit, and incel terminology will result in an immediate ban. This is a clean Shortman subreddit. I find it interesting that a label users seem to be able to have is they can be labeled as tall. Curious. They've got a height-related studies and article mega thread. Damn, socioeconomic disparities. Experiments prove that employers prefer not to hire or promote short employees, especially as shelf stackers, I presume. Every inch of height is worth hundreds of dollars in annual income, which is no less severe than the wage gap associated with gender or racial discrimination. Surely it's even worse. The Economist, short guys finished last, some sort of article about it. Taller workers earn on average higher salaries. It's called hiring, not lowering. Oh, here we go. Short women are in luck. There was no real household income difference between short and tall women. Here we go. In the US population, about 14.5% of all men are 6 feet or over. And yet, no. Blah, 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 blah. So it looks like they're really serious about this. Debunking small man syndrome. Oh, man. Research found taller men were more likely to lose their temper. Short boys are victims of bullying more often and less likely to perpetrate bullying. Oh, God. This is just the... This is the context for the... This is the beating heart of this subreddit, I presume. I'm sure what we're going to read will be very, very relatable. Dating and relationships. On the Bumble dating app, 90% of women pursue 6% of men in terms of height. Additionally, while larger upper bodies boost attractive ratings for taller men, they don't appear to have the same effect for shorter men. I mean, yeah, if you were just a torso with little toothpicks, that probably doesn't look great. How are my eyes? They hurt pretty bad today. I don't know how long today's stream will be. Sperm banks require that men be at least 5 feet 8 inches tall. You have to let me spread my stunted seed. It is a graph. Okay, it is this graph. Very well. From Statista 2022. Let me come in the cup. Dutch men are the tallest in the world because that's what women prefer. I feel like that summary isn't too great. You're not wrong. This does suggest that heightism cuts both ways. If you're a giant, you also get overlooked, right? Right? But they are very careful on this subreddit to say that it's about heightism. Despite it being short guys, they're saying it's about heightism and they're saying they're the primary victims. I'm a perfect 6. What else we got? They're going beyond, okay, the top word men are drawn to in online dating is love. The top thing women look for in a man's bio is 6 foot. Oh no, this is not healthy to be looking at all day. Like as any kind of significant part of your day being on this subreddit as a shortoid. Infidelity studies have found that when a woman cheats, she is more likely to do so with a mate who is taller than her current partner. Consistent with the theory of sexual selection for height, taller men have been found to have more offspring than shorter men. There's also evidence that taller men are more likely to have long-term mating partners and to have more partners than shorter men. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying there's no way focusing on this helps you out of this. There's no way focusing on this is beneficial. There's no way. There's no way. Like, what do you do about this? Maybe they'll tell us what you do. What do you do about this? You're too short. What do you do? This is so good. Oh man. Consider a man who is 5 foot 2 inches tall. In order to be as desirable to a woman as a man who is 5 foot 11.5 inches tall and who earns 62.5 grand a year, he needs to have an additional income of $269,000. The price of women is too high. Bro, you're gonna get called an incel subreddit. I'm sorry, you're not dodging it. Tall men have more reproductive success. I want a shirt that says that. Can I get a shirt that just says that? This does not appear to be a video. Experiment about height and dating. Women admit they would only date a short doctor if all the other men were convicted criminals. Oh, damn, these women you speak of sound terrible. Why do you want to date one? All of this paints women to be terrible. Why do you... Okay, so why do you still want to date one? Women are most satisfied when their partner was 21 centimeters taller, whereas men are most satisfied when they were 8 centimeters taller than their partner. Men better, men nicer and kinder. Hey, actually, all we have to do to make everyone happy is government-mandated GFs and, like, take the height of the guy and just cut inches off the woman until she's the right height to be as happy as possible. People are talking about making men taller. Why don't we just make his woman shorter? Blacks are taller than Asians, and we argue that this significantly affects their marriage prospects with whites. Oh, the white woman is being gatekept from short kings. Where the fuck did I read that? It's right here. Anthropometry, what the fuck? How do you even pronounce that? Of love, heightened gender asymmetries in interethnic marriages. I'm trying to highlight it. There. It's right here. It's right here. A greater height difference in a couple was positively related to the wife's happiness. Study found that women's height preferences are far stronger than men's. Sure, men in the 6'3" to 6'4" range, for example, receive about 60% more first contact emails than men in the 5'7" to 5'8" range. Okay, is this all focused around online dating though? Right? According to probability theory, the chance expectation, I mean, when we're talking about first contact, when we're talking about interest, I mean, we've got Bumble as an example. Like the most stark black-pilling examples seem to be focused around online stuff, right? That's always going to skew to looks. If you're going to dating stuff online, it's always going to skew towards looks and physical things. Because that's an objective thing you can be pretty concrete, certain about, and prove. Anything that's solid and concrete versus, content of character. That's more questionable on. Obviously, there's going to be a preference for taller guys. Or at least people who aren't short. But I guarantee this is going to be heavily emphasized online. Short by top all time? That's a good idea. Blah, blah, blah. Don't bother going to the gym. Don't bother putting on new flashy clothes. Be tall. BBC documentary on speed dating. Let's go.
With few exceptions, the 3-minute conversation...
This YouTube channel is called Height Pill! Hey, does being involved with this community increase or lower your chances?
Made no difference at all. Clearly, looks are all...
Hang
With
on.
few exceptions, the 3-minute conversation made no difference at all.
Okay.
Clearly, looks are all important. But it's not the
For speed
face,
dating, sure.
It's the body that counts.
For speed dating, fucking sure, of course.
In terms of physical attractiveness, there were two very important physical factors that made all the difference. They were different for men than for women. For men, the factor that blew all the others out of the water was waist-to-hip ratio.
Waist to hip
Boys, contain yourselves. Contain yourselves.
ratio is the size of the waist in relation to the hips and is a reliable indicator of fertility. And at the speed date, women whose figures most closely resembled this ideal got the most offers of dates. So how...
Are we evolutionary biologying this?
How much did male physique matter to women?
This is his muscle.
Women's ideal man is in fact an orc from World of Warcraft.
About I think, I quite like
To
my
about
hips,
there?
yeah.
The women also went to considerable lengths to specify their ideal body types.
It's a little bit smaller. Or actually, no, a bit bigger.
That's nice. So
He needs huge areolas.
happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
That's nice.
Right.
And this is what they found optimally attractive.
Let's have a look.
But at the speed date, there was
Commander
no
Shepard.
relationship between this figure and the body shapes of the most popular men.
For women, that was height. Women wanted tall men. They were less interested in all the other possibilities of male shape. It was height that was the most important physical attractiveness feature for men.
The two most popular
Imagine being like 5'2" and watching this. And seeking out videos like this. You're done.
men, both over 5'11", got 30 offers of dates between them.
Tall is good. Tall is healthy. Tall is successful. So don't bother
That's a really good Subscription alert.
About going to the gym. Don't bother about putting on new flashy clothes. Be tall.
With the speed date over, the men now come to the women's bar to meet them informally.
Do you not like those two?
The
Short bros. If you just beat yourself in the head until you have cognitive impairment, a whole new dating pool opens to you that is no longer predatory because you're one of them too. I'm just saying.
experiment has shown that attraction is driven by physical attributes, which have little to do with similarity or compatibility.
Amazing. Thank you, science. A New York City speed dating event that explicitly bans all men under 5'11" inches while allowing women of all heights to participate. Honestly, in a way, this is probably good for shorter men. It's probably better for them to not be allowed to go than to go there and be utterly rejected. The archive is dead. Ostensibly. Oh, 503, maybe if we do it again. 91% of short men on r/short guys would be willing to date a taller woman. Just saying. Just saying. We need that Louis Theroux doc about the guys who are into giantesses, right? An extension that, that shows people's true height would rule. What's wrong about a giant queen? Nothing's wrong with it. My girlfriend was telling me about the Louis Theroux one. I'm not sure I saw much of it. I think she said they seemed sweet and alright and everything. I don't think she said there was anything creepy about it. It was a bit silly, but like, I think she was saying they seemed all wholesome and everything. Something about like giant bodybuilder women whose husband is just like a dork. And he's all into supporting her and doing that and stuff. Okay. Right. Right. We have a woman defender on the sub. We have a woman defender on the sub. I'm tired of hearing complaints about women on this sub. We have far bigger problems. We will always be perceived as an easy target by taller men and women. Me walking down the streets ready to strike at anyone who is more than 3 inches shorter than me. Claws bared. Even my friends admitted it to me. And I have been picked on by so-called friends my entire life. People want our downfall. That's a strength you have. If you're short enough, you're like a weeble. You can't actually be knocked over. You just sort of roll and end up stabilizing upright. People will always try and exert their pride around you if they get comfortable with you. What? They will always put themselves in a position where they are better than you. Be careful who you trust. This is me trying to warn you so you do not suffer like I have. How does that relate to the title? Every sentence here hit home. Yeah, this person here says, I'm not understanding how this title is relevant to the content of the post. True. Strange. Anyway, there's a point where you're short enough, yeah, that you cannot actually fall. You just roll. There's a point at which you're just a ball. And if you're even shorter than ball mode, you become like hubcap or, manhole cover pilled. And you cannot be knocked over, you just get skittered around like you're on an air hockey table. You are the chode of humanity. I'm going to sort by, top of all time? You recommend this? Let's peep in. Right. The top post here of all time is about women. Specifically, it's about tall women and the women of the Tall Girls subreddit, apparently. It is a little comic. If you're 5'6" and you say you're attracted to tall women, they say, "Ooh, stop fetishizing us. I need to feel small and feminine. Like I'd be caught dead with a midget." If you say you're not attracted to them, at 5'6", they say, "Wow, fragile masculinity much. Incel with a Napoleon complex and like who would date a midget anyway." You can't win. Short kings want a tall queen, but to them he'll always be a jester. Oh no, the level of cope is agonizing. This is pretty rough. So much for everyone is entitled to their preferences, says Entire Claim, who's 5'2". Levy Blev says, everyone is entitled to their preferences. That being said, sometimes our preferences can blind us to giving what could be a good situation a try. I know several women who are happily settled down with guys they spent their 20s rejecting and would have saved themselves a lot of grief had they given them a chance earlier. My wife wasn't my ideal I'm attracted to, but I gave it a chance and it was a great decision. If your wife ever fucking reads this, you're done. People get too obsessed with base physical attraction. If you actually give someone a chance, you will find they may actually be more attractive than your snap judgment based on looks. Sure, but the way you said it is going to have you sleeping on the couch for a year. Jesus Christ. Except if you're a short guy. Here we go. Curry Shitstain 95 says, that's called settling and getting a beta bucks. No self-respecting man would want that. There we go. Got anything good here? Finally, someone called out tall girls for being a ridiculous subreddit. I think, in the same way that tall men aren't appreciated, it must be true. Sorry, short men aren't appreciated. Did I say that? It must be true that tall women aren't appreciated compared to other heights of women. That must be the case. So, I went to their subreddit. Overwhelmingly, they're talking about finding appropriately sized clothes. Compared to short men, though, blah, 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 blah. Look, this isn't the oppression Olympics, okay? Tall women are fellow victims of heightism. They don't need to compete. They don't need to compete with tall girls, okay? Especially when it's thinly veiled salt that they couldn't get an Amazon queen. A guide to understanding male personality traits. Oh, here we go. If he's outgoing, then he's annoying if he's under 6 feet, but confident. Sorry, what's the line? 5'5" versus 6'4". If he's small and outgoing, then he's annoying. Brings to mind the video. Actually. Hang on.
Yeah, you suck. How dare you ruin it for everybody else? Get out!
Wait. Right. No. Imagine if you were taller.
No, you go. I'm not going anywhere, shithead. Get the fuck out of my neighborhood. Get out!
Imagine the reaction if this guy was 6'4".
You're no artist. You suck. You're a mediocre piece of shit. You can't even play. You suck. I've been playing 41 years. You suck.
Even if he sounded exactly like this and overall looked exactly like this, just taller, people would have loved him. They wouldn't have found him to be a little freak. They would have loved him. We got, if he's passive, then he's weak. If he's short, he's chill if he's tall. If he's angry, then he has a Napoleon complex if he's small, and a dominant personality if he's tall. If he's introverted, then he's creepy if he's short, and mysterious if he's tall. Sadly true. What do we have here? R/short women. They're making it a contest. Why does it have to be a contest? That they view it as a contest between them and women. Overwhelmingly them and women, by the looks of the top post overall. Sure, you're disadvantaged. You're compounding that fucking massively. One of my biggest pet peeves are pants that hug my butt but drown my legs. Blah, blah, blah. Women complain about fashion when they're unusual sizes. R/manlet. If you're reading this, I've already committed suicide. How? I guess with a ladder instead of a chair. Anyway. Facts. Like, if you're short enough, can you just survive any drop? You know, what's the old quote? If you drop a beetle off of a building, it bounces. A man is broken, and a horse splashes. Do you know that one? Who's that from? Women with a time machine. Ooh, you're only 5'7". Short guys with a time machine. Saving Bagel Boss. That's cute. This one's fine. I would say that's funny enough. Watch this. People shorter than 5'5". Women versus men.
My name is not important. What is important is what I'm going to do. I just fucking hate this world and the human worms feasting on its carcass. My life is just...
Is it just the intro raw? Okay, okay. Oh, Cope Station versus Humble Brag Nation. Sure. I'm sure all R/tall is full of coping. Alright, R/short. Constant gaslighting and how you lack confidence and personality. Based on the post I'm seeing, it's not gaslighting, brother. I'm sorry. Rejected again for the billionth time? Don't worry, you're dodging bullets. Understands that 99.9% of women like tall men. Proceeds to review women who don't like short men as shallow. Gets banned in the process. The incel rebellion. Pictures of short, successful men that have absolutely nothing to do with anything. I mean, you could just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Would it be easier or harder for you to literally do that? Here's another comic of me and my tall, white boyfriend. Haha, so funny and relatable to me. Did I ever mention my boyfriend's tall and white, by the way? Do women just come here to taunt micro-browns? What is... R/tall. Upset that he's being told by his girlfriend to pick things up from shelves. Upset that she has a lower chance of becoming a street model. Actually, no, that I was going to say that doesn't happen. I only get asked by old... I'm not super tall. I'm literally just exactly 6 feet. But I get old people asking me to pick things up from shelves. All the time. Normally, it's my girlfriend annoyed that I, like, open windows too far for her to close them. Hardest life experience sitting in a plane. This is probably made by a tall person to make fun of them. Moist Critical calls out heightism and mentions their subreddit. Okay, they have a celebrity endorsement. Let's go. Can I touch the ceiling? I mean, it depends on the room, right? I'm touching the ceiling right now. Right now, brother. I must be what, 11 feet tall?
get the leg lengthening surgery? No.
Why not?
I stopped being upset about being short.
Sorry, isn't that gaslighting? To suggest that's possible?
That was my solution. I would not do the leg lengthening surgery. The long-lasting effects could just be life-ruining. Plus, the worst part is, even if you do get the leg lengthening surgery, you still get bullied. I saw a guy on TikTok do it and document his whole journey, and all the comments were like, insecure, still a manlet at heart.
Yeah, honestly, I'm imagining the leg coming down like a trunk and then having a weird thin bit where a metal rod is and then going wide again. That's what I have in my head for the leg
Waste of
lengthening
money.
surgery.
Like, you can't win.
Well, just don't let people know. Surely you can win if you do it and then you meet new people if it has a good effect, right? If you're doing it to change the minds of people who already know you, yeah, you're fucked in the head anyway.
So why the fuck would I even bother? It's the one socially acceptable thing to make fun of it's the one socially acceptable thing to make fun of someone for in which they cannot control it. Brother, you're about to get me back in my soapbox in a second. Speak.
When was this? There are lots you can do. There are tons you can do.
Speaking like that. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. Being short is still like the safest thing you can bully someone for, where no
Safest? Maybe safest. Well, man or white beats it. Man or white certainly beats it. Especially because if you hit a brown person with short, that's gonna morph into racism. Bro, if you hit an Asian person with short jokes and rip on an Asian person for being short, that's not safe. That's really not fucking safe. Nah.
one gets mad at you. Short and bald are the last two things that you can safely bully people for, which is crazy because that's like the two things you can't really control at all.
I mean, I shave my head. But also, I think bald has risk. Bald has risk. Do you want me to illustrate the risk? Make fun of me for being bald. Go ahead, chat. Make fun of me for being bald. Call me Baldy. Do it. Bald, sell bald, baldo, bald. Well, I'm sorry you hate me for having leukemia. There's a risk. Unfortunately, people in chat already nailed what the risk was, but, you know. That's like the danger. That's the danger of making fun of someone who's bald. That's the risk.
Everything else, though, off limits.
I have a reply. Good. Yeah, but the danger is other people's perception of you, right? If someone makes fun of you for being short, what if you're like, I'm sorry my mom smoking offends you. I'm sorry my mom smoking when she was pregnant offends you. What's the equivalent?
I don't know who on the Council of Humor decided that those two were the last bastion, but yeah. If you ever just want to bully someone, immediately go for height and hair. You'll be good.
To be fair, a guy did a drive-by baldo yell. Hey on, in the context of recent stream and knowledge of Nick Rakita, drive-by baldo scream sounds fucking horrifying. A guy driving past me and my girlfriend yelled baldy, like right into my fucking ear. But it shows that it's not safe because he had to do it drive-by.
Check out r/shortguys on Reddit. It's an interesting place. I'm not gonna do that. Why would I check out r/shortguys?
It's where you belong, Charlie.
I hope it's like an uplifting community and not like a really bitter one.
Uh-oh.
but it's on Reddit, so I already know it's going to be bitter.
Exactly.
You are a short guy. I know, and that's why I know I don't need to go there. What are they going to do? Give me advice?
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Height slander is a meme. Maybe it'd be worth looking at for humor's sake. I don't get it. Maybe I need to be brain damaged or like... All body shapes are beautiful. Mine too, says 5'4" Barack Obama. No! Being tall fucking sucks, Tim. You bump your head everywhere. I literally bump my head all the time. But, wait. Is Obama being used for comedic effect, or is Obama short? Okay, he's not short. They just did it. Okay. Oh, they're saying if there was a 5'4" Obama, because chicks like Obama, right? I don't know. Don't ever let them invalidate your feelings and problems. Middle school, they say you're short and ugly. High school, they say you're short and ugly. At university, they say you're short and ugly. When you go to the gym, the Zoomer won't even let you suck his cock. He says you're short and ugly. I'm short and ugly, he says. Short guys say, don't worry, you're not alone, and he's happy. In his tribe. Sweaties, no one thinks you're short and ugly, okay? It's all in your own head. Shower, bro. No, I'm not gonna shower. It won't help me. I'm too short. Look, I'm sure those people exist. 100% attitude and what you immerse yourself in compounds the issue. 100%. Yes, being short hurts you if you want to just get a girl. This shit does not help. Unless you want to check out fully, unless you're going to go, I'm going to be a monk. I'm going to be celibate. And this is my cope Reddit? Sure. Okay. But if you want to find love, this is not going to help you. And God help you if you find a woman and then she finds out about this subreddit and that you've been on it. Every day I thank God I'm over 6 feet. The way some of you girls treat short dudes is low-key dehumanizing. The only female that doesn't care about my height. I have really bad news. Their example of a female that doesn't care about their height. Your cat may well like you more because you're shorter. And finds it less intimidating when you approach her because it's less like a bird coming from above. It's less like a predator coming from above, so she's less scared. So, yeah, maybe even your cat is biased. Sorry. What is this?
Does height matter?
Of course it does.
Step on the scale.
I'm not going on a scale. You should love a girl for who they are.
And you should love a guy for who they are, regardless of height.
That's true.
So take it back then.
I'm not taking it back, but
and step on the scale.
No.
You're being a coward.
Weight, you're ridiculous. And
if you care about height, you're ridiculous.
But you don't need to know an exact number.
You don't need to know an exact height.
All you gotta know is that.
Yeah, but you can't debunk people caring about an attribute of yours. You can't fucking debunk it. You haven't debunked it. Oh, thanks for showing a double standard. My pussy is now wet for midgets. That's not how, you can't do that. It doesn't work. It's not about logic. It does, brother, I'm sorry. As a 4'10 male, I now disclosing my height on dating apps. I'm 4'10 and visiting the Netherlands for work. Will the Dutch giants accept me? I felt good about my outfit the other day with my date. Any suggestions? 4'10 guy dating a 6'2 woman. Maybe the shortoids need the talloids. Theory. If you're short, there's a sweet spot wherein a woman is tall enough that when she's on her knees, she's below you by the optimal height. Right? It said there's an ideal number of inches difference between her head height and your head height. So if you're really short, there's going to be a point at which she's tall enough that on her knees that height difference is there. The science. Disney classic. Also, he's nipple height. Okay. Tell me about yourself. I'm 6'4", a hideous beast that cruelly imprisons people for stealing flowers. Did you say 6'4"? They're called mommy milkers for a reason. Know the work rules. If someone who is 6'4" and ugly says, "Sup, bitch," she'll say, "Oh, you're sweet." You're 5'4", gorgeous, and ask how her day is going. She'll go to human resources. This is definitely true. There's no way. Taken face value, the general message may be fucking accurate at its core. There's a kernel of truth, but okay, good. Thank fuck. Thank fuck you're joking. Ooh. Donk. They're okay. This one is trying to promote solidarity. Short girls are called like pedo bait. Short guys are viewed like not important. Okay. Cool. Woman tries to height shame short guys but gets mad when the opposite comment was made. This one's gonna be fun. Surely.
Isn't Andrew Tate like 5'8"?
Oh shit.
No, he's like 6'3".
Really? How big
Yeah.
is his dick? Damn. That's
What
like
the
he gives
fuck?
such short man energy that like I thought he was like under 6
Wait,
feet tall.
hold on. What did you just say? It's short man energy. What does that mean?
Like,
are you
it was
hating on
kinda
short
mean.
men?
Yeah, it was kind of mean. It was like a derogatory
Ooh.
stance, I guess you could say. Yeah.
You know what? I'll
This guy's getting her. Much better than the other one.
let it slide as long as you're okay with fat girl energy. Are you okay with fat girl energy?
I've done my
Wait, why wouldn't she be though?
due diligence in dating a man shorter than me, so I feel like I could say that.
What the fuck is this?
That's
If short guy energy is okay, then fat girl energy has to be okay.
Yeah, they both rule. They're both fine. Let's do like one more. We've done this is the most popular post. These are the most highly voted posts of all time, a page of them. Childhood growth hormone deficiency support for parents. I'm at a loss for words. My child comes home once again crying because he's being teased for being short, mainly by girls. Told me tonight he doesn't want to live like this anymore. Damn, this sucks. This is just a fucking downer. Jesus Christ. Do you do one more thing? Do one more and play this. What is it? This is a classic, but look, you can see that yourself. It's Bagel Boss. Bagel Boss with Oblivion music. Yeah. It is indeed very short. Ooh. We're not doing this tonight. There's a there's a fellow called Brian Mullins the Fox who talks about how to actually get rid of child predators. Do that another day. Should we do some classic gamer content? Goes from short guys to miniatures, real mature. I didn't. I didn't do it on purpose. It's literally a coincidence. It's absolutely a coincidence. There was no planning. It just happened that way. All right. We can look at Predator Fox tomorrow or Tuesday. Let's close some of this stuff. We're gonna look at this guy. We're gonna look at nudging. I'm gonna do one more thing. This is recommended by Whaler. It's from 3 years ago. It's a lady talking about a subject that's been done to death. But, you know, it's Sunday. Sunday is a day for slop. Just getting, scraping together bits and pieces, no core theme. This is going to be a video about the issue with what miniatures are available. And Whaler told me that he finds her to be relatively reasonable, but bitter.
Hey,
We'll
it's
see.
Lila. In this video, we're going to talk about why we need more badass female miniatures and the over-sexualization of the female form in the hobby. For as long as I've been painting, I have...
It's a, you know, it hits you with that classic term, right? Over-sexualization. What does that mean? I'm not even 100% confident in what's meant by sexualization. So you go, well, it's obvious. It's when the thing, you know, like big exposed breasts, you know, hourglass figure, these poses, these faces. But what's been sexualized? You can understand that may well be designed to be sexually appealing. But something being sexualized implies it's being done to something that otherwise wasn't sexualized. The model itself has no other form. It is what it is. Is there any difference from something being created to be sexually appealing and something being sexualized? Because one implies like a corruption of something into a sexualized thing versus it just being created that way.
known I wanted to paint badass female.
Also, of course, over-sexualized. Where's the limit? Over-sexualized implies there's a line that it's crossed. Some amount is okay, but there's a line that it's crossed. What does it mean?
Miniatures. And even before I started, I knew that finding non-sexualized female miniatures was going to be a bit difficult. But before we get too far, I want to cut some drama off at the pass.
To me, this hits me as lame in another way. It was artistic boobs. You can show them. That's fine. Mod them. Well, here's the thing, Kurochi! Sometimes when we talk about sexualization, we're talking about the way you view things. Sometimes it's about the way things are. So clearly she's using it in a way to mean it's the way things are. Just change them. Back in my day, as a young lad into Warhammer, one of the coolest things was that no model will be spot on. And it was kind of lame. I don't know how it is now. It was kind of lame to just make the model as is. Just put it together as is and paint it. That was cringe. You were supposed to mod that shit with green stuff. You were supposed to kit bash. You were supposed to make it your own as much as possible. Ideally, you'd sculpt stuff out of green stuff and get it to set and like add it on. Right? Base models only needed to be in the ballpark, and even then, like, the mindset of, I need models that are this way. Why? Why not? Why not just, I really want models that are this way. I would buy them if they were there. Me and these people would buy them. Makes my mind jump to something, though. Because sometimes people pull that and it backfires and ends up hurting producers. Did you guys ever see the news story about the meat, and I suppose meat substitute company, Heck? Do you know Heck? You ever seen them in a supermarket? They do sausages, they do like sausage patties, and they also did vegan products for a while. And they came out and said, we're axing pretty much all of our vegan stuff because all of the studies and all of the articles and all of the demand for them is just bullshit and no one buys them. You ever see that?
1. It's okay to paint sexualized female miniatures.
Okay.
I paint them too. I am not here to ruin your hobby. 2. There are so many wonderful people who are part of this community who already know and understand what I'm going to say. And I want to thank you for the support that you have given me, as well as the support I know I will be receiving from you in the future.
Community-minded. Community-minded, lame, cringe.
Okay. We good? Let's move on.
Like, I'm saying way more than I should, and I'm pause-andying. But this actually fits in with the theme of so many things we look at. There's a self-inflicted sense of injustice and of something being missing in the caring about community so much. Like, don't you just want to make cool shit? Why not make it? I don't know. It feels like the community aspect turns what's available into a statement about who you are as a group, and therefore it needs to be available so that it makes a statement about who you are, rather than just being a product you want. Do you get what I'm saying? Because she's discussing community consensus when talking about a little bit of plastic or metal you can paint.
Now you might be wondering why I bothered to bring up this topic in this hobby. And the thing is that I just want options. Okay. I pause Andy. You framed this as being more important than that, but okay. Okay. There are so many female miniatures that were obviously sculpted to be ogled, as well as less obvious but still prominent sexualization of the female form.
Why does that make you need an alternative, though? You said you just want options. Why is their abundance relevant to your need for the thing you want or your desire for another thing? Do you get me? What is the relevance of their abundance when it comes to what you want? You're framing it as in like there's some sort of entitlement to balance.
Maybe they have
Hey, this one even has green stuff to make its positioning work better.
swords, maybe they have armor, but sexuality is still an inescapable part of the sculpture.
False. False. For someone like me, I'm sorry to betray you. I like women. I like female bodies. Boobs are cool. If I didn't, and if I wasn't part of, a community, and if I wasn't amongst Coomers, I would have escaped it entirely. I would have escaped sexuality of it. It's not actually inherent to the plastic.
This trend implies that men are the only one who are going to be doing the looking and that women are subservient to them.
I'd say that's an ill or indoctrinated perspective. It doesn't imply that. It doesn't imply anything. You've chosen to very strangely read that out of it. I don't think that implication is there. That's like a demented inference you can take, is that. I don't think it implies that. Additionally, she did the this isn't how Motte and Bailey works, but she tried to do it. The Bailey is, I just want some options. Now, the reason it's important is there's too much of this and this sends an image about what women are. Very strange. Very strange.
And I hear you, but Lila, there are scantily clad male models. What about them?
No, I wouldn't say that. I don't care. Okay. In what way does it send that message? By what mechanism does it send that message? How are people receiving that? How do you know that even half of people receive that message? How do you know that it has that impact on people? How do you know it has that impact on society? I presume is what you're concerned about. What's the proof?
But here's the thing. Shirtless women and shirtless men are not the same thing.
Transphobia.
Scantily clad or topless male models are sculpted with rippling muscles, swords at the ready, this heroic expression on their face as they stand before or over their prey. We see these models as independent,
Right.
We identify them.
Did she watch Small Soldiers and think it's fucking real? I do not see any plastic or metal model as independent. Also, great physical strength to be applied, in the form of combat or labor. They're coded as like being lower class or being subservient. If we want to use your sort of language, they're a pawn. Valued for their ability to do work. They don't look independent from that. Especially if they're a game piece, then they exist for the mechanics that presumably relate to their appearance. They are a tool. They are a tool. In fact, I'd say they are more something to be used. If you have like a fantasy about these things and look at them as people, the desire regarding the women is to do something with them. The desire for the strong male characters is to have them do something for you. So actually, the men are presented more as being subservient.
As strong and brave, but most importantly, we identify them for what they can do for themselves.
No, not for what they can do for themselves. There is no themselves. They can't do anything for themselves. They can't literally. And if we're talking about like a tabletop war game, even in lore, they're not really doing it for themselves. They're a grunt. They're a unit.
They can be.
They might be doing it of a sense of duty. Sure, obligation.
Sexy, but the main appeal is not based on their sexuality. Of course, some models.
Is the main appeal? I'd say the main appeal is still aesthetic, in the colloquial sense. The way they look. I'm not even convinced that the main appeal for the female characters, the hypersexualized female characters, is their sexuality. Because why would you pick miniatures? If the main draw to you is sexuality or sexualization, you just look at porn. There's a stronger draw for you to be doing minis versus porn. It's just that sexiness is an element for many people.
Are worse than others, with large breasts barely covered by tiny bikini chainmail armor.
It's called green stuff. Back in my day, it was called green stuff. Change your clothes.
High heels and wasp waists, with looks of.
In fact, if there are multiple good looks, some of which could have less clothes, some of which could have more, releasing models that have less clothing is better because then people can add to it versus having to remove and then resculpt. Just saying.
Lure, or worse yet, looks of confusion or fear. These models are designed
Sounds like you have a fundamental problem with their existence, my G. Sounds like your Bailey is I want options, but really what you're trying to say is I want this stuff gone, this stuff is bad. You sound like you were pretending. Or rather, you were trying to say, I'm happy with sexualized stuff, but this stuff is too far, is what it sounds like. If it really sends this message, why would you be okay with it? Wouldn't that make you a bad person?
To titillate and excite. And most importantly, such miniatures ask what she can do for you, not what can she do for herself.
If you're schizophrenic, sure. I don't know. But I simply don't look at models and pictures that way. I don't look at them either of those ways. It's a visual stimulus that can have an emotional effect on me, or I can think other things as well, but I don't even need to view it as a person. It's just an image.
But even the better dressed models can suffer from this
better dressed value judgment. I just want option, guys. By the way, these are terrible and damage society's view of women and the better dressed models.
Same fate. When she's done fighting, when she's off the battlefield, the question remains, what can she do for you? This is not to say that male models sculpted for female eyes don't exist.
Can I listen to that again? Wait, what did she even say?
When she's done fighting, when she's off the battlefield, the question remains, what can she do for you?
I don't know what she's even talking about. I don't understand it at all. What system are we talking about? Am I confused? Are these for like D&D or something? Are these for... just minis on their own? There is no... Maybe for this character there's an off the battlefield. I don't know who this is. For this miniature there is no off the battlefield. There is no other form but this. I don't get it.
This is not to say that male models sculpted for female eyes don't exist, or that there are no female models.
Media literacy strikes again. She's running on the theory that you can tell from how something is designed what the intent behind it was regarding audience. Right? The same model could be sculpted for male eyes or for female eyes. This is pure ideology. Can I Slavoj Žižek this? This is pure fucking ideology.
Models designed to look like they can realistically handle themselves. However, the ability to name a handful of examples does not help with the systematic problem at hand.
I thought you just wanted options, though. It does help you have options. You told me you just wanted options. Strange.
And what does overly sexualized look like?
Oh! We actually have an example. So she's dropped it. 3 minutes in, she's dropped the pretense of it being about options. It is specifically about what is overly sexualized, i.e. unacceptable. Let's go.
Note that this isn't a scientific topic, and some of you may not agree with me about what category a model falls into. It also matters how you paint the model and what context you can build in for this model.
So the way a model is painted might be unacceptable too. Okay.
Based on any sort of base that you might include with this figure, as well as a bunch of other factors. But I want to give you some guidelines.
You put sand on the base. And that gets everywhere. It just turns me on so much.
To help you understand how to examine female miniatures. Number 1, if you substituted a man for a woman in this exact pose, in this exact armor, same facial expression, would it be weird?
I feel like that's an incredibly fecund question. Weird? Surely that's a question regarding someone's comfort with the way different sexes, you know, can be presented, perhaps. Maybe if the answer is yes, it means you're bigoted? Like, what does that mean?
If they look like they're strutting down a runway, or are lounging seductively in the gaping maw of a dragon with sheets perfectly covering them in all of the right places.
Why would... Okay. If you dropped a man in that scenario on the left, not only do I say it's not necessarily weird, but I can imagine that man specifically being David Bowie. Anyone else? I'm thinking of a specific iteration of David Bowie.
If you put a man in those elements, would you still recognize that man as strong and independent? To be a little more...
I don't recognize any model as being strong and independent. The test doesn't work with me.
Specific, consider the following questions. Does the figure suggest that sexual availability is the defining characteristic of the model?
I don't think about plastic models in terms of sexual availability. I don't know what the fuck you mean.
Does the design remove the individuality of the model? For example, is she wearing a mask?
Surely it only removes individuality if multiple instances of that mask are there. Does the Pope's hat remove his individuality, or does it make him stand out more?
Or is there a cage over her head, or a hood or hair in front of her face that is removing her identity?
She doesn't have an identity outside of being the model, though. The mask is part of the identity. Necessarily, because the face might not even exist. This seems like an almost mystic or religious belief in maybe even subconsciously viewing this way as people. So a model that just has a mask is a person who otherwise wouldn't have a mask. No, the model is masked person. There's not a unmasked person that has been masked. It is what it is. What is she talking about? This is the thing with sexualized. A model that she's describing as sexualized isn't an otherwise unsexualized model that has been sexualized. At least in most instances. Allowing for, you know, you changing it, or as someone said, painting it in a certain way to have skin instead of cloth or whatever. There's not a thing to have that done to, overwhelmingly.
Were artistic choices taken specifically to objectify them based on their sex?
I'd have to ask the creator. Or the sculptor.
Let's talk about this for a second. This covers a lot of models that otherwise might not be considered overly sexualized.
Wait, is she gonna say I actually have to check with the artist what their intent was? What the creative process was? Normally when people say that, they say, oh, was it designed with that in mind? Or for the purpose of that? And then they give you concrete examples of what counts as that. So no, you're not talking about the intent. But it seems we're going down the path here of the same thing can be okay or not okay depending on the intent behind the sculptor's actions. So how would you find out?
But here's the thing. When so many models are just a little sexy, it becomes overwhelming. with their armor cut out to
To
show
who?
cleavage, again, wants.
Are you sure you're not like a lesbian in denial? Isn't this like something, or maybe she just is a lesbian and is open about it. I don't know. I'm feeling overwhelmed by all these tits, and it makes me really uncomfortable. Don't you get like gay people talking about like I was at the gym and it was overwhelming because I was trying to deny my feelings? Dave Rubin talked about there being models outside of Abercrombie and Fitch who he found so attractive that it made him extremely uncomfortable because he was struggling with his identity. I remember that anecdote. Is that what's actually happening with some of these people?
Waist, high heels. The entire category of female miniatures becomes over-sexualized. It's
Actual. She extends her sense of community to female models. Like she has a perspective and consideration of female characters that are modeled as a whole. And she has like a rating for them of how sexualized are they overall. Who gives a fuck? Just don't buy those ones or modify them or make your own. Or only buy the ones that aren't. You're concerned with other people's perception of these things. And perhaps the message it sends. Silly.
okay to paint sexualized female miniatures. If you know me as an artist, you know that I paint sexualized female models. I started making a name for myself by painting Kingdom Death. Some of these are commissions, some
Damn, and she had a mask. You're a monster.
of them are just because they're really cool. And after all this, you might be wondering why I paint such models if I'm so against them. And the thing is that I'm not. I'm not against sexualized female miniatures. I'm not saying
Sounds like you have some sort of view of quantity of them mattering regarding external perception of this hobby as a whole, though. So really you are against them, just not on an individual basis. It's like how someone can hate black people, but not every individual black person.
that they don't have
Because they think there are too many of them, for instance.
a place in the hobby or in gaming. I'm not saying that you're guilty if you have painted sexualized female models. What I do want is options. When I'm playing video games, I want
If you want options, it's irrelevant how many sexualized ones there are. You just need some non-sexualized or whatever, or the ability to make them.
choices beyond playing a gorgeous bombshell, where they all look basically the same minus their outfits, weapons, and makeup. When I'm looking to paint a new 52 or 75mm model for some display piece I want to be able to find more than just the one female model who doesn't have her cleavage showing.
And who are you going to have make that, and why should they? Is she going to get into, like, I will buy it, I will spend, people will spend money. Why should they do this? So far, it's set up to be a moral point why they should do this, though, right? The option angle supports it being financially wise and financially sound for someone to do this. And I mean, like, why don't you? I don't know.
Being sexy can be fun and empowering. My first D&D character was a cliché horny bard, and she wore boob armor the entire campaign. But for my current D&D campaign, I am playing a paladin, and I had a heck of a time finding a normally proportioned, non-sexy model for this character. If you don't want to paint well-clad female miniatures, that's totally fine. You do you. As long as you can separate the sexualization of the female form in models from sexualizing women in life, then you're going to be doing okay.
Now we have equivocation. The sexualization of models so far has been down to actually deciding physical appearance of the model. Now referring to sexualizing women in real life, and I presume she doesn't mean forcing them to get their tits out. What does it mean? That was a fair thing to say? The point is fair, Chinese Star, but the meaning of the words are becoming confused. Feels like we have two different definitions of sexualize occurring.
But unfortunately, not everyone can do that.
See? Of course. You didn't expect that line to be coming? The reason she's talking about how many there are is because she's going to appeal to morality and the effect on society of it. The reason she's talking about how many there are is because she's going to suggest that this has a greater impact, surely.
This topic has impacted me as a YouTuber and as a woman in general, but as well as a woman in the hobby. First, I want to start out by saying that my community is wonderful. I'm surrounded by community and crafters and painters and other YouTubers who have done nothing but make me feel welcome and are excited that I'm here, as well as make the space welcoming for all other hobbyists as
Oh damn, Vosh.
well. And so I want to take a quick moment and give a shout out to all of you, saying how much I appreciate you. But
Don't put it... I know she's quoting herself. Don't put I appreciate you in scare quotes. Dog, no. Oh, chat. I think I'm just going to take a moment because I think you deserve to hear it. I appreciate you.
there are some people who are not like that, who think that women don't belong in this hobby, or using the fact that they are a woman against them if they don't agree with you.
How? Using it against them how? To do what? Calling upon laws that lead you to be shackled in the kitchen? How do they use it against you?
And this stems from the idea that men ogle and women are less than. Personally, I have only had a few...
Oh, and is it transmitted to them by the models? You know, you said the models imply that mindset. Is that where it comes from? Oh no, it looks like they're all a problem, doesn't it?
Negative experiences in the hobby. But after speaking with other women crafters and hobbyists and YouTubers...
Oh, she's going to get them to actually make a bunch more modest, more Christian models. She's going to be the change, in which case, fine. It's like, okay.
And other women in the gaming realm, it is clear that I am an anomaly. I have received comments on sponsored videos along the lines of, you're gonna need to pay her more if you want her to show her boobs on camera.
Wait, you're an anomaly? Hold up.
I am an anomaly. I have only had a few negative experiences.
Oh, she's an anomaly having had a few. Other people have many.
It is clear that I am an anomaly. I have received comments on sponsored videos along the lines of, you're gonna need to pay her more if you want her to show her boobs on camera. I have been told that I should give up on painting because all of the painting techniques have already been covered. Instead, I should upload videos where I more actively present my cleavage.
Hey. Erase all female models that aren't fully covered. You still get those comments. These are irrelevant to which models are available. I'm sorry to tell you. You're out of your mind if you think otherwise.
My point being that receiving only this small amount of negativity makes me a lucky one. Most of you would never say something like that to me, or to any other female gamer, and for that, I am thankful. But if after all of this, you argue with me, if the idea...
You better say something more than that. You'd never say that, but if after this you argue with me, there better be something more than just if you argue with me, you're one of them.
idea of strong, fully clothed female models upsets you, if you think I'm wrong and that I need to stop talking, or if you think that this is just what it means to
I think you're wrong, but not that you need to stop talking.
Be a woman on the internet, you need to sit back and consider how you approach women in the hobby as well as the world at large.
I would never talk to a woman in any nerd hobbies, so don't worry.
The biggest thing that you can do to help is by asking companies where their well-clad female miniatures are. When you
They're gonna think you're like a CFNM fetishist. Do you know about that fetish? Clothed female, nude male. There are people who are really into the idea of just being naked with women who are clothed. If there are suddenly a bunch of men who are like, please, I need women with, modest clothing. Please, it's so important. Oh, come on. I'm kind of tired of the ones with too much bearing. I need women who are, really dressed up now. They're going to think you're a fetish freak.
See such well-clad female miniatures, buy them, or share them on Instagram, or send them to people who you think would like to buy them. Continue.
Create an artificial appearance of demand that undoubtedly will not be kept up if that's required. Set these companies up to produce a ton of these miniatures and then get burned and never ever do it again. Suggestion. Maybe she's done this at this point. This is an old video. This is from 2021. Crowdfund for a collection of these miniatures. Make bank if there's demand. Send the signal that there is demand and that you can make money off it, leading to more being made because people see that money can be made off them. How about that? I don't know if there is demand for that or not, specifically. If there is, that's probably a really effective way to get more made. Directly through whatever you're doing, because you're all artists. You're a community of artists. What's the point of being embedded in a community of artists if you can't make things? You can do that. It'll be fun. You can make money. You can get the models made, and then you can get more made in future. Right?
Supporting female crafters and gamers and people in the hobby. And when you see men being inappropriate, just call them out and say, hey, that's not cool. That's what I'm asking for.
That's the last thing you should... If someone's being nasty on the internet, the last thing you should do is respond to them and say, that's not cool. You're literally being nice to them by doing that. Right? Your intention doesn't matter. They will enjoy you saying that to them and laugh about it.
And if you're interested in helping me in particular, go ahead and see how the conversation is going down in the comments below. Just check in and see if the discussion is going in a productive and healthy direction. Before I wrap this video up, I want to give a quick shout out to the people who helped me write this script. Trent.
Oh my god. Dude, please.
From Miscast, Bill from Berserker Work.
Please! There needs to be at least 3 more women now. There need to be 3 other scriptwriters who are all women. Please.
My wonderful husband, James from...
There's not enough female representation in the production of your video about there needing to be better female representation. What the fuck are you doing? Holy shit!
Greyhouse Games on Instagram, Raquel from RaxX Art,
okay,
and Luke from Nerd.
Oh
HQ.
god, and Gerard from The Completionist.
Thank you so much for helping me write the script. I really appreciate all of the time and feedback that you offered me.
God.
If you want to support me monetarily, go ahead and join me over on Patreon, where you can receive feedback directly from me, join my wonderful, friendly, growing community, and much more. Otherwise, subscribe, go ahead and follow me on Instagram, and buy my merchandise.
After
If
all
you made
of
it
this
far, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit and listen.
After
to this
all of
video.
this, after
I
this
hope
message
that
about
this was
women's
helpful,
empowerment,
informative, and inspiring to you.
in return
I
for
look
supporting
forward to
her on
seeing you
Patreon,
on the next one.
what does she do?
I'm wrapping
She
up
shows
for the
us her pussy on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm wrapping up for the night. You already missed it all.
Disgusting. Miscast says, this miniature barrier has been most embarrassing for me when I tried to introduce female friends to the hobby I love. It's hard to explain the miniatures bit without getting embarrassed, let alone explain why all the female representation is all sexy or doe-eyed. Why is that hard? Here's the thing. Yeah, tons of guys are into this. Tons of guys want sexy stuff, so there's a lot of sexy models. Here are the ones, if you don't want stuff like that, that are more covered or whatever. Why is that embarrassing? Are you a fucking baby? I don't understand why that's hard or embarrassing. Like, I don't get it. I'm a member of a gaming club where parents are often bringing their kids to play as well, and having more age-appropriate, non-sexualized model options for the younger players would be great, too. Pick those ones. Make those ones. Modify what exists for them. Kids are getting into this all the time. How? How? Apparently women are getting into this all the time. How? If it's so repulsive, how is that happening? Filter new. Oh, people are already... Silver Triforce, are you from my chat? Oh, she got a shout out. Reltius2993. Gamergate's strongest soldier, Reltius. He says, way too many woke liberals in gaming hell-bent on ruining it. Asking for more miniatures is just the worst. Real excellent video, and I'm sure it was challenging to make. I don't understand how this isn't misogyny. Silver Triforce is in the chat! I recognize you. I just saw your comment. I know your name. How is this not misogyny? You watch a video that's just someone talking. You watch just a puffy opinion piece. You see that she had help overwhelmingly from a bunch of men. And then your comment is, I'm sure it was challenging to make? I can't wrap my head around that not being a like, insult. Really annoying having to go out of my way to find a normal-ass model. I want little friction. I want less friction, even, to my consumption of plastic. Please. This is retarded. The reason is the sculptures are 3 inches high. If you want people to know they're a woman, you have to give them large hip, breasts, or hair. It is a caricature. No, that's fucking stupid, obviously. Male gaze. Here we go. Oh no. The purest of ideology, distilled to be dripped into your eyes. Hang on. In case you're not aware, there is a new miniature modeling campaign that started back a couple months ago called Dungeons and Dragons is a Woman, which I found out from Discourse Miniatures. Thought I'd post it here for you in case you haven't seen it yet, and for all those who watch this video want to check it out as well.
Keith Paints.
They're just green.
Hey folks, welcome to a special episode covering the D&D is a Woman crowdfunding campaign over on My Mini Factory. If you have ever searched for sensibly posed and dressed female minis for your adventures, you might have noticed that they're harder to find than you would think.
So someone did it. Did this pop off?
Alicia, a halfling rogue.
There's also sort of another issue. In that a stumbling block to my suggestion of, doing crowdfunding, trying to use that as a signal that there's demand for it. Because there's an ideological element to it, you might get people supporting one campaign for ideological purposes and then burning out. Right? You might get people who aren't even into it long term supporting a campaign for ideological purposes, and then that skews it and fucks you over later. But who knows? How did this do? D&D is a woman. "15-year review of studies. Objectification theory toward understanding women's lived experiences and mental health risks." Looks fine, models. Yeah! I mean, I think the models look nice.
Amahaya, an Asimar cleric, and Amalia, a Tabaxi monk. Armenia, a Genasi.
I have to tell you, I'm not really getting non-sexualized from them, though.
Druid, Araquel, a...
I don't see people who are into models and get attracted to models not finding these attractive. Like, I don't get it.
Asimir warlock. Curifius, a dragonborn sorcerer. Drozdi, a Goliath.
That pose looks rough. The one on the left looks rough. It looks like a bugged out pose in a 3D game.
Monk. Elizabeth, a halfling bard. Eleanor, a human fighter.
Will be gone.
Gelrian, an orc barbarian.
Undertale players are 100% jerking off to that middle one.
Morigia.
They all look passive. I don't know. Actually, if we're going to critique it on her terms, they all look really passive. And I thought that was part of the problem.
Sir, Jilsa Renwin, a half-elf warlock.
Because an example of the men was like, they look like they're fucking ready to go in. They look powerful. These all are just like,
a Aarakocra monk.
Whatever happens, happens.
Crolia, a serpent folk sorcerer.
Serpent folk sorcerer. Alright. Damn! Okay, holy shit. Yeah, he raised 77 grand. He raised 77 grand. The strategy works. Someone already did the strat, and it worked. They got 77 grand. I presume that was enough. It ended January 1st, 2023. Yeah. The all in D&D is one bundle defined 75mm models pre-supported from scratch for display size. Wait. She created it! Yeah, she did it. She did it. No. This is super legit. This is super legit. I can forgive some of the rhetoric in her video on the basis of her doing this. Yeah. Is this just the models though? No, Ukazuto. She straight up pushed this. Yeah. The ideological stuff, the moral judgment, the weird stuff. Nah. But yeah. Tabletop carnage. Should we do one more video before I go to sleep?
Hey folks, today I'd like to discuss...
We'll try to do one more video. I might fall asleep live. Who knows? Screams slow... What is slow furry?
The objectification of women in our hobby. painting sculpted miniatures, particularly of the 3D printed variety, as those are the ones I'm more familiar with, but this would apply to any other miniatures as well. Objectification of women is a...
Objectification of women in 3D printed stuff? Doesn't this necessarily go even deeper into you shouldn't do that territory, because it's going to be people doing their own stuff, and not, say, a larger company producing a mass product?
Problem in our society. You see it everywhere, in all media, and in increasing amounts, and it has real-world effects on women. We'll start with a Wikipedia definition, followed by a look at objectification theory, a framework for understanding the effects it might have on women, then a 15-year review of literature surrounding objectification theory, and finally we'll take a look at the objectification of women in our hobby. If you need a definition, Wikipedia provides a basic one, or 10. I won't read them all to you.
There we go.
Unfortunately, the papers referenced are behind a paywall, but even reading Wikipedia's summary of the arguments...
Right. Let me look at it. This, underneath definitions, is still one definition. Maybe there are a bunch of different definitions. I'm sure there probably are if the section is called definitions. This chunk he's put on screen is one definition. A person is objectified if one or more of the following properties are applied to them. That's still one definition.
Are behind a paywall, but even reading Wikipedia's summary of the arguments, you can see that there are varying degrees to which objectification could be said to be natural, especially as part of the human mating process. Media is not natural, though. We choose what we put into media.
Does it flow out of natural properties or characteristics? If you're going to try and refer to philosophy and then use the word natural, welcome to hell. Welcome to hell.
Objectification theory offers a framework for understanding the experiential consequences of being female in a culture that sexually objectifies the female.
Okay, but can you say it in your own words instead of giving me little
This
snippets?
paper, and others that it cites, recognize the, quote, socially sanctioned right of all males to sexualize all females, regardless of age or status. This sexualization occurs in many forms, ranging from sexual violence to sexualized evaluation.
Sexualized evaluation. Okay. Sexualized evaluation, I can understand what you're saying. I'm not sure society sanctions the rape of children, though. I'm not sure about that one. Or even just, sexual violence.
The most subtle and deniable way sexualized evaluation is enacted, and arguably the most ubiquitous, is through the gaze, or visual inspection of the body.
Oh no!
When objectified, women are treated as bodies, and in particular, as bodies that exist for the use and pleasure of others. Importantly, because a sexually objectifying gaze is not under a woman's control, few women can completely avoid potentially objectifying contexts in their lives. The paper notes 3 places.
Can anyone avoid potentially objectifying situations under those terms? Can you avoid objectifying a representation? Especially of a game piece.
Where an objectifying gaze is played out. In interpersonal and social...
Oh my god, he's just fucking reading stuff. This isn't what I signed on for. I want you to say things in your own words. Give me it in your own words.
Monitoring can have a profound impact on women's lives. Every person is different.
Wait. Let's go.
Habit of self-conscious body monitoring can have a profound impact on women's lives. Every person is different, and so is their lived experience. So the extent to which one will internalize the objectified view of women...
Guys, I think this is boring. I thought this would be more cringe. This doesn't seem cringe. Well, it is cringe, but it's more slow and boring than it is cringe. Okay, print and paint, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Bunny's back? Uh-oh. Better leave. Better leave. Boys. Bad news. I'm going to peace out now. That was going to be the last thing But we didn't strike gold. We didn't strike gold. Thank you very much for joining me today. It was Sloppy Sunday, you know, just bits and pieces. Bits and pieces. We looked at that in Praise of Shadows guy. We looked at a card video about being a pirate. Looked at a video about miniatures. We looked at the Short Kings on Reddit. We actually looked at quite a few different things this Sloppy Sunday. Tomorrow, hopefully I'll have a core subject tomorrow. Might be Sloppy Seconds tomorrow. Might be a Sloppy Monday where we just look through a bunch of other stuff I have. Until tomorrow, though, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for your viewership, your companionship, and your generosity. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the male gaze bite.